All right. Wow, this is so loud. All right. Welcome back to the live show. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. We are back for another episode. It is currently 8:50 p.m. and of course today's date is the 11th of September 2025. How are you guys doing? How are you doing? As we all know, just within 24 hours, within 24 hours, a lot has gone down in America. And as you see the title of the show tonight is America Needs God. We need God in America. I gotta tell y'all real facts. We need God in America. So, first things first, I have to say, may God bless Charlie Kirk's spirit and soul, and may God bless his family, his wife, his kids, and hopefully they have the strength to keep on going in life. Oh my goodness. So, first things first, we're going to see this right here. President Donald J. Trump delivers a remark on Charlie Kirk. Of course, this was yesterday. This incident happened yesterday, and the whole world saw it. The whole world saw that man leave this world in a very devastating manner. But we're not gonna go into that right now because I I had to sit down and I had to think about so much about human life and love and why we here in this world. You know, when things like this happen, you just sit down and you think to yourself, why? Like why? And I wrote down some things on my note that I'm gonna share with you guys. I really just, wing it every time we're on stream, but for some reason I intentionally wrote some things down about what I felt about what happened yesterday. But before that, we are going to go on and check this out. Listen to the 45th, now the 47th President of the United States. Here we go.
My great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark, moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
All right, so that was President Trump talking about what happened yesterday. This was recorded, or yeah, definitely recorded and put out yesterday by the president team. Uh, this is definitely why I named this stream "We Need God in America." And the question we have to ask each so the question we have to ask ourselves here is, are we part of the problem? Ask yourself, are we part of this division? Are we part of this divided America? Ask yourself. It's not about, oh, I'm a Republican, oh, I'm a Democrat. No. Right now, by yourself in your home, you're watching this on your phone or on your computer. I don't know where you're watching this. But ask yourself, are you part of this problem? Are you part of this division? This divided America, are you part of it? Let's ask ourselves. Each and every one of us, we need to ask ourselves, are we part of this? All right. Of course, today is 9/11, and we have to remember what happened in 2001. So, the president, Pete Hegseth, and the first lady was out today. And here we go.
24 years ago, Islamist terrorists massacred nearly 3,000 innocent American lives in New York City, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and right here at the Pentagon. The building you see behind me, the War Department, was targeted in an act of savage evil. And today on these hallowed grounds, we gather to honor those victims and heroes with the resolve to never forget. We gather to pay tribute to the first responders who charged into the flames and up the stairs, to those trapped on planes fighting their final fight, and to the families whose lives were forever altered by that fateful day. Like everyone in this audience, I remember exactly where I was when that first tower was struck. A college junior with a fresh set of Army fatigues in my dorm room closet, having just joined Army ROTC. Like too many Americans, I was naive to the threats brewing abroad and infiltrating our shores. But from that day forward, I felt an unshakable call to action, a duty to defend our sacred homeland with everything I had. Like all of you, 9/11 was the ultimate validator to serve. But I was not alone. An entire generation of warriors stepped forward, willing to pay the ultimate price to exact retribution and secure our country. Forged in the crucibles of Afghanistan and Iraq, we stood watch in distant lands on dangerous missions, often, in retrospect, nebulous missions, all to secure our people and so we could live in peace. War is an enduring aspect of the human condition, a tool that, when wielded wisely, ruthlessly punishes enemies intent on terrorizing or subjugating our nation. War must not become a mere tool for global social work, eager to risk American blood and treasure for utopian fever dreams. We should hit hard, wreak vengeance, and return home. For 2 decades, our warriors fought with valor every day, far from home, even though sometimes their leaders gave them nation-building missions and half-baked exits. Thankfully today, we have an American military that President Trump has now rebuilt twice. Yet despite the weight of history, the Department of War will always honor the service of our warriors and all they left behind, never straying from the warrior ethos they and those on 9/11 embodied and deserve. We best honor their memory and the memory of 9/11 by learning the correct lessons of that day and the decades of courage that followed. Full hearts, clear eyes. To every member of our War Department, past and present, you are the best, the real elite, the real 1% of this nation. Standing here today, we honor those 184 rings of the bell, souls lost at the Pentagon and on Flight 77. Even as first responders were grossly outnumbered by the wounded, many ran toward the chaos, cared for the injured, and comforted the dying. It was bedlam. But in that moment, American heroism was laid bare. That purpose, that spirit lives on in uniform today. Despite such tragedies, our republic endured. It endured that day. It endured on Flight 93, charging that cockpit, and at the Pentagon. It endured over those Islamists. It endured over 2 decades of war, and it endured stronger, wiser, and tougher, forged by the blood and courage of patriots. Our job now is to ensure that future generations inherit a strong and vigilant America. 9/11 is vivid for me and all of you, but it will soon live only in the history books for our youngest. We must teach our children that the price of freedom we love is eternal vigilance. Instill in them the importance of upholding America's Constitution, holding tight to our freedom and our faith, and relentlessly pursuing our enemies. Prepare them to defend this nation by the ballot, the wallet, and when necessary, the cloth of our country, because the world remains a viper's nest. It requires us. As I speak, hostile elements plot to curb our power and slaughter our people in our homeland, in our hemisphere, and halfway around the globe. Not everyone needs to wear a uniform, but some of us do. That is our profession and our promise to this nation. In closing, a reading from Scripture, Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 4. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope. On this day, 24 years ago, we suffered. In the years since, we have endured. Our service and sacrifice have forged our character, and today we stand in hope for the future of our great nation. The young soldiers who take the oath give me hope. The young cops who wear the badge give me hope. The young firefighters who answer the call give me hope. The young agents who patrol our border give me hope. The life, example, and even death of Christ follower and American patriot Charlie Kirk give me hope. Sheer courage, no matter the arena. Charlie, we love you. We know that you have heard the Lord's words. Well done, good and faithful servant. Full heart, clear eyes. Like those on 9/11, he will never be forgotten. So I thank God for all of you and all of our fighters from that day to today and beyond. May God bless our warriors as they ruthlessly seek our enemies on behalf of the fellow citizens they love. We owe you and all of those who witnessed 9/11 nothing less. It is now my great honor to introduce to you our Commander-in-Chief, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd, very, very big. Thank you, my fellow Americans. 84 years ago this morning, the banks of the Potomac were filled with the clamor of construction workers who broke ground on the building now known as the Pentagon on September 11th, 1941. At the time, it was the biggest building ever built. From that moment forward, this structure stood as a monument to American strength, power, and cherished American freedom. Exactly 6 decades later, on September 11th, 2001, those same walls, built with the sweat and muscle, blood of our parents and grandparents, were scarred by flame and shaken by terror as our country came face to face with pure evil. On that fateful day, Savage monsters attacked the very symbols of our civilization. Yet here in Virginia and in New York and in the skies over Pennsylvania, Americans did not hesitate. They stood on their feet and they showed the world that we will never yield, we will never bend, we will never give up, and our great American flag will never, ever fail. That terrible morning 24 years ago, time itself stood still. The laughter of school children fell silent. The rush of our traffic came to an absolute halt. And for 2,977 innocent souls and their families, the entire world came crashing down so suddenly. In the quarter of a century since those acts of mass murder, 9/11 family members have felt the weight of missed birthdays and empty bedrooms, journals left unfinished, and dreams left unfulfilled. To every member that still feels a void every day of your lives, the First Lady and I unite with you in sorrow. And today, as one nation, we renew our sacred vow that we will never forget September 11th, 2001. Amid the horror of that morning, some used cell phones and office lines to whisper their final words to those who mattered most. They whispered indeed. At 8:59 a.m. aboard United Flight 175, Brian Sweeney called his wife, Julie. He told her, "Do good, go have good times. I totally love you. I'll see you again. I'll meet you up there." 4 minutes later, his plane hit the south tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:12 a.m. aboard American Airlines Flight 77, Renee May called her mom. Just the day before, Renee had learned that she was 7 weeks pregnant, but she never got the chance to share the news. She simply said, "I love you, Mom." 25 minutes later, Renee's plane struck the Pentagon. So violent, a strike it was. At 9:53 a.m. aboard United Flight 93, Elizabeth Waineo called her stepmom. They're getting ready to break into the cockpit. What do I do? I love you so much. They're going to break in. 10 minutes later, Flight 93 ended in the hallowed field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. At 10:25 a.m., Tom McGinnis was trapped on the 92nd floor of the North Tower when he told his wonderful wife, Elena, on the phone, "There are people jumping from the floors above us. If we get out of here, it'll be a total miracle. I love you, darling. Take care of Caitlin, beautiful daughter." 3 minutes later, the tower fell. Out of the ash, we witnessed the awesome power of that incredible love. We've seen it rise again. Out of the wreckage, we watched unbelievable courage suddenly take form. And out of the darkness, we saw the timeless truth of American character shine for the world to see. In America, we take blows, but we never buckle. We bleed, but we do not bow. And we defy the fear, endure the flames, and emerge from the crucible of every hardship stronger, prouder, and greater than ever before. Last year, we were a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. In New York, there were heroes like Chuck Costello, a 46-year-old elevator mechanic, and a member of the Knights of Columbus. He selflessly ran into the World Trade Center to free people trapped in the elevators. His body was not found until the following January, deep under the debris. While going through his belongings, Chuck's widow, Mary, a phenomenal woman, discovered a personal prayer written in his own words. Help me to light the way for those in the dark. And when I enter the darkness, let me not panic, but patiently wait to remember the light. Beautiful words. When the time came, Chuck ran boldly into the darkness of hell on earth, and now he shines in the light of heaven above. We remember him this morning. That day we learned that the American heroic spirit was all around us. We saw it in the police officers, the great firefighters, the service members here at the Pentagon, and in the hearts of every American who answered history's call. One such hero was Army Sergeant First Class Steve Workman, who was on the edge of the impact zone when this incredible Pentagon was hit. He was right there. After leading hundreds of people to escape routes, Steve turned back and plunged into the inferno itself. Pushing through the debris, he came upon a severely burned Navy lieutenant, the only survivor from the Navy Command Center. Only one. The wounded lieutenant looked into Steve's soul and said, "Don't let me die." Steve replied, "I won't. I've got you. Just hang on." He wheeled the lieutenant out of the wreckage on the back of a maintenance cart before getting in the ambulance and taking him to Walter Reed Hospital. That man Steve saved, Lieutenant Kevin Schaefer, went on to join the elite team of CIA operatives who located Osama bin Laden. Steve, you're an American hero. We appreciate it. We appreciate what you've gone through. Please stand. Please stand. Where are you? Oh, good-looking man. You're a good-looking guy. You remember that day. You remember that day. Good. Thank you very much, Steve. That was something. That was something. In the years that followed, America's warriors avenged our fallen and sent an unmistakable message to every enemy around the world. If you attack the United States of America, we will hunt you down and we will find you. We'll go all over this sometimes magnificent earth. We will crush you without mercy and we will triumph without question. That's why we named the former Department of Defense the Department of War. It will be different. We won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything before that and in between. And then we decided to change the name. Well, now we have it back to where we all want it. Everybody wanted it. Everybody is so happy to have it back. You will fail and America will win, win, win. The enemy will always fail. 24 years have passed since that Tuesday morning in September, and an entire generation of Americans have come of age in a totally different world. While they cannot remember the agony of that day, they are carrying on the legacy of those who lost. Around 8:30 a.m. on the morning of the attacks, Army Lieutenant Colonel Kip Taylor sent an email to his friends and family describing the joys of fatherhood and his excitement for the upcoming birth of his unborn son. He wrote, "After you have kids, there are days that you just get going and you say, 'Hi, honey, I'm home.' What we do until that moment pales in comparison, but just that little statement, 'Hi, honey,' so American, so beautiful. But that's really the point of it all, isn't it?" An hour after he sent that email, Flight 77 flew into Colonel Taylor's Pentagon office and claimed the life of a very proud father and true patriot. 6 weeks later, on October 25th, 2001, Colonel Taylor's son, Luke, was born. Luke then tragically lost his mom to cancer when he was just 2 years old, leaving him to be raised by his father's brother. As a young boy, Luke asked his uncle about the folded flag on the bookshelf. And when he learned about his dad's decades of devotion to the Army and the horrors of September 11th, that's when he learned. Luke carried that memory with him and joined the ROTC as a college freshman. He graduated just last year, and I'm pleased to say he is with us today as a second lieutenant and doing very well. He's rising quickly in the infantry, preparing for Army Ranger School. The spitting image of his dad, they say, Luke says that every time he puts on a uniform, he feels connected to his father and to our country. But it was a father he never knew. Luke, your parents are together in heaven, and they could not be prouder of the man that they have produced. They produced you. Those two great people produced you. Luke, please stand. Thank you. You look good, Luke. You look good. They're looking down on you. They're very proud. This morning, we recall the light of America's best and bravest and the love that they showed in their final moments. In their memory, we make a solemn pledge and a noble promise. We will honor always our great heroes, and you are our heroes. There's a group of people that don't want to talk about our heroes, but we will always talk about our heroes, and that's the way our country is, and that's the way the people feel. We will defend the nation they served, the values they upheld, and the freedom for which they died. We will support our troops, we will protect our families, and we will preserve the American way of life for every future generation. We will build taller, grow stronger, fight harder, and soar higher. And together we will go forward as one people with one heart, one fate, one flag, and one glorious destiny under Almighty God. May God bless the memories of those who died and the heroes who fought and the soldiers who still stand watch. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of God Bless America, and remain standing for the benediction.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say God bless the people and their family that lost their lives during the 9/11 situation. May God rest their soul. And I also want to say this. So the first thing I said before we played this video was ask yourself, because I've asked myself, okay? That's what I'm asking you to ask yourself. Are you part of the problem? Are you part of the division? Are you part of this divided America? Because I had to ask myself. I had to ask myself. All right, the next thing here on my notes that I wrote down was the Constitution says free speech. Listen to this. The Constitution says free speech. However, in real life, all right, in this world, in our every day to day activity, in real life, is there free speech? This is something I had to ask myself. I had to ask myself this too. Is there actually free speech? Let's all ask ourselves right now. Everybody, ask yourself, is there really, truly free speech? Or is it free speech? Is it free speech until you say something someone or a group of people don't like or believe in? Ask yourself. Is it actually free speech? Because the Constitution says free speech. But do we really have free speech? All right. Today I'm just going to be asking questions. All right. So we can all just think about it. All right. Just think about it. That's what we're doing today. We're doing internal dialogue. Okay. All right. Let's listen to this press conference, press release of these questions.
Not really. I'm really concerned for our country. We have a great country. We have a radical left group of lunatics out there, just absolute lunatics, and we're going to get that problem solved. I'm only concerned for the country. Yeah.
Mr. President, how do you want to see your supporters respond to this?
And that's another thing right here I have to say. When we say words like radical left lunatics, or Trump is Hitler, or a dictator, or ICE is the Gestapo, what are we really saying? I'll say that again. When we say words like the radical left lunatics, or Trump is Hitler, or the people that vote for Trump are, I don't know, Hitlers, or Trump is a dictator, or ICE is Gestapo. What are we really saying? That's why I asked the question when we started. Are we part of this divided America? This is not the time to start pointing fingers and say, well, it's the Republicans, well, it's the Democrat. I'm just here right now because I'm absolutely just tired. Okay? I'm really just tired of this BS. This side versus this side. Question: are you part of this divided America? Because President Trump just said, this is President Trump, ladies and gentlemen, that I voted for. He just said the radical left lunatic. So, question: when we say words like radical left lunatics, or when they say Trump is Hitler, or a dictator, or ICE is Gestapo, what are we really saying?
Charlie Kirk was a big advocate of nonviolence and free speech on campus. How do you want your supporters to respond to it?
I think that way. He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond. Say it? I did. I spoke to Erica, his wife, and we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine.
Are you concerned?
Have you any folding interrogation behind the Charlie Cox assassination?
I don't know what you're saying.
What do you think about the people? Mr. President, when, Mr. President, are you planning to bring both presidents, the president of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, and president of Rwanda,
They're coming soon. They're coming soon. And as you know, I spoke to their foreign ministers. They were here a couple of weeks ago, as you remember. And they'll be coming soon. The presidents are coming very soon.
This week, Mr. President, I witnessed more than 60 people in DRC Congo were killed. There is people affiliated with ISIS. Terrorist groups are taking advantage because of the situation going.
Yeah, I like the way we're being honest in the chat. When we say words like that, what are we really saying? One thing I'll say is we call things or people we don't like, or people who have a different belief or have done despicable things, these names. When you call someone Hitler, Do you know what Hitler actually did? When you call Trump Hitler, what do you think? Oh, who did you think Hitler was? When you call someone a deranged lunatic, have you ever experienced or been in a room with a deranged lunatic? This is what I'm saying. Are we part of this whole mess? Are you and I part of this whole mess? It's time to actually start asking questions. Are we promoting this whole thing called division and hate? Are we literally pushing this out? Are we doing this to ourselves? I'm just asking questions.
Going on because of the war. So, what is your word for Congolese people?
Well, we're going to be talking to them. As you know, we are talking to them. It's a very violent place. It's very, very violent. For a long time, it's been going on for 30 years, 35 years even, they say. But we're going to handle it. Thank you.
Are you concerned they haven't found the shooter?
In Poland, any reaction on the Russian drones in Poland?
Can't understand.
Mr. President, what do you think about the media that justify the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I think it's terrible. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. It's terrible.
Why haven't they found the shooter yet, Mr. President? Are you concerned that it's been 24 hours?
Well, I hear they're making big progress, and we'll have to see what happens.
Do you have any indication of the shooter's motivation, sir?
I have an indication, yeah, but we'll let you know about that later. Thank you.
About the Russian attack on Poland? You spoke with Uzbekistan president, and this last Sunday you sent greetings to Kazakhstan. UN General Assembly is upcoming. Are you going to meet with the presidents of Central Asian countries?
President where?
Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan.
I will be, yeah. They're very good people, and I will be doing that, yes.
So you believe the killer was a trained assassin? Usually your instincts are always on.
I'd rather not say. I think progress is being made. He's an animal, total animal. And hopefully they'll have him and they'll get him. What he did is disgraceful. Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man, great in every way, especially with youth. And what he did, what this man did, was disgraceful. So hopefully we'll have him and we will deal with him very appropriately.
All right, so he mentioned Charlie Kirk. I'm just going to say this, okay? Charlie Kirk was a brave man that exercised his right to free speech. However, now his wife and kids and family are a victim because Charlie, a great man, a legend in history, believed in the Constitution of his country. Because he believed in America and what America stands for. Yet, he was taken out because of his belief. Charlie Kirk was taken out in the same America, all right? He wasn't taken out in Europe or Asia or Africa. Charlie Kirk was not in China when this happened. Charlie Kirk was not in Russia when this happened. Charlie Kirk was not doing a Q&A in North Korea when this happened to him. I mean, just think about that. He wasn't in China doing a Q&A, or he wasn't in Europe or Africa doing a Q&A when this terrible atrocity happened. Charlie Kirk was taken by the same place they say has freedom of speech. The same country that prides itself in freedom of speech, that is the same country that silenced Charlie Kirk. So, question. That's why I asked. That's why I'm telling you guys. Tonight, we're just asking questions. Is there truly freedom of speech? Or we're just all lying to ourselves and say, well, there's freedom of speech. Knowing deep down in our heart, there's truly, maybe not hypothetically, maybe not, maybe there isn't freedom of speech. So I'll ask you again, ladies and gentlemen, is there truly freedom of speech in America?
What's your reaction to Russian drone incursion into Poland?
Could have been a mistake. Could have been a mistake. But regardless, I'm not happy about anything having to do with that whole situation. But hopefully it's going to come to an end.
Mr. President, in Brazil, Bolsonaro was just found guilty by the Supreme Court. You've been very clear that you would apply sanctions. Are you thinking further sanctions to Brazil because of this Bolsonaro?
Well, I watched that trial. I know him pretty well. Foreign leader. I thought he was a good president of Brazil. And it's very surprising that that could happen. That's very much like they tried to do with me, but they didn't get away with it at all. But I can only say this. I knew him as president of Brazil. He was a good man. And I don't see that happening.
I'm very sorry for your loss, for everybody's loss. I'm very sorry for your loss, first of all.
Thank you.
How do you think Israel's attack in Doha will affect the hostage deal?
You better say it a little bit more. Where are you from?
I'm from Israel. Channel 14
Okay,
is like
go
the
ahead, do it
Israeli
again.
Fox.
Do it
Okay.
again.
How do you think Israel's attack in Doha will affect the hostage deal?
Well, hopefully it won't affect it at all. We want the hostages out, and we want them out soon. Hopefully it won't affect it.
Mr. President, my condolences to you, sir.
Thank you.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you very much.
Your message to young people.
I don't expect to. I would, but I don't expect to.
Mr. President, what's your message to young in Poland?
Do you have one favorite memory of Charlie?
Many favorite memories. He was just a great guy. I've never seen a person that was a little bit older get along so well with you. He got along with young people. I've never seen anything like it, and he really helped me a lot. I did very well, as you know, with young people, and he was a big factor.
Mr.
How
President,
are you
going to go to Charlie Kirk's funeral, sir?
I will be.
You will. Do you know when that will be?
I believe it's in Arizona, and they've asked me to go, and I think I have an obligation to do.
Do you know when that will be?
I'm hearing I hear next weekend. Whenever it is, I'll be going. I'm hearing next weekend.
Mr. President, are you frustrated that they have not caught the perpetrator yet?
Well, I hear they're making great strides, Maggie. I hear they're making great strides. You know, they have pictures and some other things, and they found the weapon, big factor. So they're very talented people. We'll see what happens.
Like I just said, Charlie Kirk was exercising his right to freedom of speech, and he got silenced for it. Look, this is not the time to lie to ourselves. You can lie to the world, okay, but you cannot afford to lie to yourselves. Charlie Kirk was not taken out in China giving a speech or doing a Q&A in Russia or in North Korea. He was in Utah talking to American kids like he has been doing across the United States. This is what he's known for. He debates. He allows people to ask questions. He answers. He asks questions in return, and they answer the questions. Sometimes people don't agree with him. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they change their mind. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people boo. Sometimes people cheer. That's what it should be, okay? Exercise your freedom of speech. But in this same America, Charlie Kirk was silenced in a country that prides itself, that says it has freedom of speech. That's just this is what I want to know. Everybody ask yourself. Somebody's asking me, is there anything new on the shooter? At this point, I mean, what am I supposed? Okay, even if you find the shooter, okay, you find the shooter right now. So what? Charlie is gone. And this brings me to social media, man. I'm just look, this social media, I'm getting tired and fed up of this whole social media BS. I see videos circulating on social media about someone was on the roof. Why is it that it's like there's always someone on the roof? Even when this happened to the now 47th president of the United States. And as soon as he went down and he came back up and said, fight, 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 like 20 minutes later, videos on Twitter was like, well, there was someone on the roof. There was someone on the roof. Now, everybody's circulating a video of someone on the roof during Charlie Kirk's. It's like, now there was someone on the roof. While he was there, y'all couldn't see that there was someone on the roof. Now there was someone on the roof. It's always after the fact. Never happens before. It's always after the fact that we then see videos of someone on the roof. There's never someone on the roof while he's there. As soon as it happens, all of a sudden, everybody says there's someone on the roof. And then they have videos. Somehow, there is videos, or there are videos circulating of this person was walking, setting up, and it happened. Why didn't they get him out of there before it happened? It's always after it's been done, we all see videos online of someone on the roof. Oh, man. I'll say this again. Charlie Kirk was not taken out in Russia. He was not taken out in China. He was not taken out in North Korea, because these are the countries that we say are the problem, are the enemies, right? I mean, everybody says China. Oh, China hates America. North Korea hates America. Oh, Russia. Russia wants to end America. Yet, this great man changing the landscape, encouraging free speech, was taken out in this same country, ladies and gentlemen, in this same America that we pride ourselves in freedom of speech. But then we want to say China is a communist country. They don't allow people to have freedom of speech. But here we have freedom of speech, right? Right? We have freedom of speech, right? Oh, yeah, we do. I see. Very great freedom of speech. Okay? Great freedom of speech. So you say China, Russia, North Korea are truly the enemy. In my opinion, I don't think they are. America is America's enemy. Yes, you heard it from me. This is my opinion. As much as China, Russia, and North Korea or whoever are not in support or are conspiring against the United States, I truly believe that America is a bigger issue to America than these countries have to America. Think about this. JFK died November 22nd, 1963. That was 62 years ago. 62 years ago, JFK was taken. This is why I started with ask yourself questions. It's not about, oh, well, it's them versus them, it's now about really sitting down and asking yourself questions. JFK died 62 years ago by almost the same thing that happened to Charlie Kirk. 62 years ago. I would have thought that this could never happen in this modern America. I would say there's no way. Everybody would say there's no way. We're more civilized. We're more loving and caring. The same thing that happened to JFK 62 years ago is happening 62, ladies and gentlemen. That's half a century. Right? Isn't that half a century? So, freedom of speech. We might have to actually revisit that part of the Constitution.
We hope we can do it soon.
Do you have a reaction to the Brazilian Supreme Court convicting?
No president well, but I know him as a leader of a country, and I always found him to be very straight, very outstanding. Actually, as a man, a very outstanding man. I think it's a terrible thing. Very terrible. I think it's very bad for Brazil.
Would you condemn Russia flying drones in Poland?
Well, I hear that what happened, as you know, where they were taken down and they went a little berserk. But regardless, yes, I would condemn, even for being near that line. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. That whole thing, I'm not happy about.
Mr. President, if the Supreme Court if the Supreme Court says tariffs are unconstitutional, will the 550 investment agreement with Japan be cancelled?
Well, we have a great case, and everyone thinks it's going to be very successful. It's a great case. I don't see how anybody could be successful on that. Very French, very horrible thing. He was a great man.
I just saw a comment here. The person said, you are on the internet saying whatever you want. You could be in Asia on the internet saying whatever you want. You could be in Africa on the internet saying whatever you want. However, my concern here is in America, we pride ourselves in saying that this is a country that promotes and allows and encourages free speech. However, the champion, in my opinion, of free speech was Charlie Kirk. I've seen so many influencers, so many political activists, so many people who actually, talk about politics or react to politics or whatever this is. But Charlie Kirk is on another level. He is the champion of free speech. He would talk to whoever, Democrat, Republicans, independent, whoever you are, he would talk to you. And he wasn't just doing it in America. He would go to Europe and he would have the same conversations in Europe. And this never happened to him in Europe. And yet we say, well, it's over for Europe. It's so over. Well, it's over for Europe. In this same chat, we have people coming here. Okay, just calm down, G. We have people coming here in the chat saying, well, it's so over for Europe. And Charlie goes to Europe to do the same Q&A that he does in America. And that did not happen to him in Europe. It happened here in America. Wonderful.
All I can say is hang in there. I spoke with Erica, his wife, and they have great people at Turning Point, and I think they're going to carry it forward. And they're going to make Charlie very proud, looking down on us all. But he was incredible. He really helped me with the election, too. We won youth. We did great with young people, which really doesn't happen very often with Republican candidates. You take a look at Mitt Romney and some of these others. They did so badly, and I did so well. And Charlie was a big factor. Thank you.
Look, we need to start asking ourselves questions, okay? That's why here I always say, I don't care if you are a Democrat or a Republican. You are American. You are American first. We always say that here. Every single time, every single live stream, we always say that. We always say that every time. Now, oh my goodness, man. All right. I don't know. Well, check this out.
And we begin with this Fox News alert. We have new information on the manhunt for an assassin on the run in Utah. And you see on the left of your screen, Christian, young conservative leader, husband, dad, friend, Charlie Kirk, assassinated. And now the new details are firming up to catch that killer and bring him to justice. We're getting a clearer picture of just how someone could escape that crowded scene on that college campus and simply vanish. Well, almost. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. New video shows an individual on the rooftop at Utah Valley University, where Charlie Kirk was speaking and then assassinated. State officials with more details on the man on the roof.
The subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox delivered an emotional message to the entire nation in the wake of the tragic assassination.
This is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people. He comes on college campuses and he debates. That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Nothing I say can unite us as a country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken. Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation.
CB Cotton is in Orem, Utah. CB.
Hi, Harris. Well, right now, FBI agents say they have images and video of the suspect. They're not sharing any of this material with the public at this time, but instead, they're suggesting they're using all of this content to closely track the suspect.
The suspect blended in well with a college institution. We're not releasing any details right now. I mean, we will soon, but right now we're not. But that individual appears to be of college age. We are confident in our abilities to track that individual.
Agents say the shooter got on campus less than an hour before assassinating 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who was visiting Utah Valley University in Orem.
These are the types of videos that really, I'm sorry to say, annoys me. It really annoys me, okay? Now you're highlighting some part of the screen and saying, look, that's the guy. So you didn't know this was the guy. Or this man is... Charlie Kirk is not Charlie Kirk isn't like a regular influencer, okay? This is a young man, by the way, that started Turning Point. All right, there's Turning Point USA, there's Turning Point UK, there's Turning Point probably all over the world, okay? This man is a force, absolutely influential. There are so many influencers, okay? Political activist or whatever you want to call them. Charlie Kirk is the king. As far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, Charlie Kirk is like the head. The head. This man has the power to control millions of young Americans. He had that power and still has that power. This man was the head of all of that. Everybody says, well, some people say I'm a Democratic influencer. Some people would say I'm a Republican influencer. Some people would say whatever they want to say. But if you want to talk about conservative activist or political conservative activist, Charlie Kirk is on the throne. And he was here in Utah, and now, after the fact, you're sackling a screen and saying, well, this, so many people want to find the shooter, but really, to me, it's like, okay. All right, now you have videos of someone on the roof. This wasn't some regular guy. This is Charlie Kirk, ladies and gentlemen. And his moment was televised to the world, not just Americans. Everybody in this world saw what happened to Charlie Kirk in real life. Everybody had a phone. Everybody saw the video. Now, as much as you and I, Everyone is posting tribute, and well wishers are praying for his family and sending love to them. The truth is, as much as it hurts a lot of people, including myself, it doesn't affect us as much as it affects or directly affect his kids, wife. You're probably at home right now with your wife. You're probably at home right now with your husband and kids. Watching this right here. Or watching something else. But his wife and his children are scarred for life, forever, ever. Because it didn't just happen in secret. The whole world knows what happened to Charlie Kirk. The whole world saw a video of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Now his kids would have to live with that up here. Yeah.
Agents say the shooter got on campus less than an hour before assassinating 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who was visiting Utah Valley University in Orem, about an hour away from Salt Lake City. The FBI says the gunman used the building's stairwells to get up on the roof and fired that fatal shot from about 200 yards away, sending the crowd of about 3,000 people into sheer panic. The FBI special agent in charge of the Bureau's Salt Lake City office said at the news conference today that agents recovered a high-powered bolt-action rifle in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. The FBI laboratory will analyze this weapon. A young fan telling us he is still in disbelief by what he saw yesterday.
It sounded like a 4th of July popper that you can throw on the ground. I heard and everybody just started ducking. I look over at Charlie and he put his hands up like this and falls back in his chair and people catch him.
Harris, the sense I'm getting here on the ground is that investigators know a lot about who this suspect is. It's at this point a matter of figuring out where he is. Back over to you.
CB, thank you very much. Darren Porcher, former NYPD lieutenant and U.S. Army veteran, is with me now. You and I have done police specials and whatnot together, and we are very forensic. And when we take a look at something like this, I look forward to doing that with you now. So what are the forensics of what we've learned so far, and what do they tell you?
Well, there's a lot that we have to unpack. One of the first things is police were able to identify the entrance and the exit of the shooting. This is paramount because they've now captured facial images as to who the shooter may be. And when we go back to the Boston Marathon bombing, that's when we saw crowdsourcing information that was used as it relates to facial recognition. It's manifested 10 times since then, but this is paramount as it relates to how police are going to be able to identify who the shooter is. In addition to that, we're going to look for DNA evidence because the shooter laid down on that roof, and it's impossible for you to enter or exit a location without leaving a trace of DNA. It can be skin fragments, hair samples, etc. So right now, law enforcement has a lot, and you have the triangulation between federal law enforcement, state law enforcement, local law enforcement, and they're going to work in tandem in sharing this information to ensure that we bring this violent assailant into custody.
Well, law enforcement was doing what they do so well. They were looking for people known to them. That the first older gentleman I know from talking with people like Jason Chaffetz and others in Utah who have said, well, he shows up to political rallies. The guy's kind of a loudmouth, blah, blah, blah. He was already on their radar, hasn't done any harm, but that was the first person we saw picked up, that older gentleman. And so they were actively looking for perhaps people that might fit something that they were after. I don't know if it was movement, it was familiarity, I don't know. But this guy, what do you make of him and what you're learning about him?
I go back to the Charles Whitman shooting back in the 60s on the University of Texas campus, whereas he shot people from upwards of 200 yards away. And he used a bolt-action rifle, which is the same type of weapon that was recovered in this particular instance. This is someone that clearly had an understanding of how to shoot people at these distances. And bear in mind, Charles Whitman did not use a scope. He didn't use a tripod. He didn't use a bipod. This was merely the focus of using a bolt-action rifle. I was an officer in the Army, and this is something that I can do. But at the same token, it requires a level of training. So this is something that we're going to look to the background of this individual to find out what in fact his training was to accomplish such a outrageous feat in shooting one of our American heroes, that being Charlie Kirk.
What I always think is amazing about how you and others do their jobs in terms of unpacking a moment like this at the scene is navigating all the fear and the realities on the ground of people caught in the middle between a killer and what you're trying to find, that killer. Here are some of the witnesses who were there yesterday.
It's really traumatizing, definitely something that I've never witnessed before. I think a lot of the college students were there, even some teenagers and some kids with families.
There were people just rushing. I was doing all I could to help them out, get them out, and yeah, just bodies everywhere.
You know, it's something where you feel like you're safe on campus, and then it changed really quickly.
Right away, you know, people started going, lay on the ground. Everyone started praying. That was one thing that we all just instinctively did.
Amen to that. You said it would have been just so chaotic.
Chaotic is an understatement. And we go back to the assassination, the failed assassination attempt against President Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. It is a major challenge to secure an outside venue for a prior president, because just take in mind, Trump had Secret Service protection and an assailant was able to fire a shot at him. So although Charlie Kirk had security, that outside venue is very difficult to maintain a fortification. And remember, there wasn't really a high threat, but this was a welcoming environment. He's at a university in Utah, which welcomes his views. And the one thing about Charlie Kirk was this: he always encouraged discourse, but he discouraged violence. He felt that if we continue our discourse, we won't have violence. And sadly enough, we had someone that didn't adhere to that principle.
Real quickly, lay the day out for us if you can. Next steps. You've got images, so on and so forth. Just real quick, what you see coming.
I think law enforcement already has a subject, and they're actually focused on getting that person. When we look at doorbell ring cameras, DNA that will be extracted from the weapon, I just think it's a matter of time. And they're not releasing this information to the public because they don't want to scare the suspect, and I believe that they have a location in mind to address.
Darren Porcher, thank you always for your expertise.
Hey, everyone.
All right. The man most people say they believe is in heaven right now. I don't even know what to tell you guys, man. All I can say is America is a land of freedom, all right? Free speech. But is it really free speech? Or it is free speech until you say something that some group of people do not allow or believe in. And then you're gone.
Well, from reports and particularly our own correspondents, things are tightening around the man who they think is the assassin. They are trying to catch him for killing conservative icon Charlie Kirk at a college event in Utah yesterday. It's not still been 24 hours, and the FBI is moving quickly now with some details and evidence that they picked up in the last hour or so.
And I just saw someone in the chat. The person said, as an electrician that works on roofs, it should have been locked. That's why when I say I see videos of people posting and saying there was a man on the roof, it's like, what do you mean there was a man on the roof? This is Charlie Kirk. Okay. There should be people focused on making sure the roof is secured. But they couldn't even secure, at the time, a presidential candidate, Donald Trump, in Pennsylvania. So, of course.
And it's revealing this morning that images of the shooter exist, and you can see those images on your screen right now. If anyone has any information on this person of interest, please contact the FBI. 1-800-CALL-FBI, and we'll get that up on all of our social platforms immediately. Authorities are saying they have been able to track the suspect's movements and have recovered the high-power rifle officials say they believe the shooter used in the attack. The FBI is confident it will be able to catch this person. Sources close to Fox News also confirm investigators are looking into what appears to be messages that are written both on the gun and the shell.
So we are regular people, okay? That's why I love this situation right here. This is a regular, everyday American like me in the chat saying that I do not understand why they didn't just drone the roofs. It's like, and allegedly, some people have said on social media that Charlie Kirk had always gotten a death threat from a lot of people, some groups or whatever. So if you know a very influential person like Charlie Kirk is out there, so you mean to tell me that there are no drones on the roof in 2025? When his family, his kids, his wife are out there with him, you don't have drones on the goddamn roof in 2025? Oh no, did you see the video? There was someone on the roof. Well, I don't care about the video of someone on the roof now that it has happened. Oh, there was someone on the roof. Now that he's gone, there was someone on the roof.
Shell casings recovered by authorities just in the last 35 minutes or so. Bill Malugin has that part of our story. The content of those messages, though, is still unclear. At least they have not revealed them to us in the wider media. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts, Emily Campagno and Kayleigh McEnany. Also joining us today, Lara Trump, host of My View with Lara Trump, and Lawrence Jones, co-host of Fox and Friends. First, let's go to CB Cotton and get the very latest at Utah Valley University. CB.
Hi, Harris. Well, multiple sources have told Fox News about the messages that appear to be left behind on both the ammunition and firearm recovered from the scene of Charlie Kirk's assassination. So far, the FBI, as you mentioned, has declined to comment on this. But what the agency is saying is that they've got lots of good video of the killer's path on this campus.
We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time.
Agents say the shooter got on campus less than an hour before assassinating 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, who was visiting Utah Valley University in Orem, which is about an hour away from Salt Lake City. The FBI says the gunman blended in well on campus and appears to be college-aged. Agents say he wore all black tactical gear as he fired off the fatal shot from about 200 yards away towards the stage, where Kirk had just started answering a question from someone in the crowd. After the shooting, the suspect ran off into a neighborhood, according to FBI agents who say they found a high-powered bolt-action rifle in a wooded area. Other clues were also left behind.
Investigators have also collected footwear impression, a palm print, and forearm imprints for analysis.
The FBI is also asking for anyone with photos or videos to please share those with the agency. And moments ago, the FBI also released a new photo saying this could be a person of interest in this case. I know our show producers are going to work diligently to share that image with our viewers. Harris, back over to you.
Yeah, and we are putting up that image of the person of interest, CB, right now, and we will continue to do that. They are looking for the public's help now. They have obviously tighten their net around this suspect, and the public can be of immediate help just in cutting the time.
And don't forget, when this happened to the now 47th president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, some people were like, well, it was planned. It was planned. But now, this has happened. This has happened. Are you going to say this was planned too? This was supposed, in my opinion, to be the commander-in-chief's faith. This was supposed to be the commander-in-chief's faith in Butler, Pennsylvania. But God somehow didn't let it happen. I don't just know why. Charlie just wasn't saved. I don't know why he wasn't preserved. I can't answer that question, but he wasn't. He wasn't. It's easy to say R.I.P. It's easy to say, oh, may God bless his soul. It's easy to say he was a great man. It's so easy to type stuff like that online. But think about his wife and his kids. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, his children would grow up in the world knowing what happened to their father. Yeah, that's just... that right there would... only the strength of God can preserve those children. And I hope and pray that God's strength is with his wife and children. That's all I can say. That is all I can say. Jesus.
Timeline. They are going to get this guy. 800 call FBI, and the image that you want to keep, that we'll keep up on the screen as long as possible, is there too. We're also, and I'm kind of saying this to you, but also asking our team wider who's listening to flood our social media with this. All platforms are outnumbered right now as well. Lawrence, well, none of us slept last night, but you were up on the air earlier than anybody here on the couch. And this day has gone rapidly different than maybe some people had thought, and it's in a very good way. We're getting more information. We might be close to getting the suspected assassin.
Well, earlier this morning, there was a lot of trepidation for me, particular, even though a lot of people that I know and love and respect work at the FBI, that we hadn't got a photo. Because that's the first step right here in justice, is identifying who this person is so they can stand trial before the peers of this country with a jury. And now we have that photo. Our imagination, based on the person who they targeted, Charlie Kirk, and since he was given a political speech, and since they didn't fire at the crowd, but they fired directly at his head, we knew it was political. Now we got the shell casings and other ammo that have political messages there. So we're getting closer and closer. I just hope that we're all zooming in, all law enforcement. You got to get this guy. Charlie was a representation of a movement of young people in America. And I don't care if you agree with his politics or not. We can't have that in this country.
You know, part of the excitement, too, around Charlie, and I was sharing last hour, in the state of Arizona, he was being talked about in circles of people who were decades older than he. Can't wait till he becomes governor. Like, people saw the trajectory of this young man. But part of the conversation was, could he bring the youth vote? Because young people may get activated and motivated, but until they go to the polls, that's the big difference. And he apparently could do that.
Yeah, he did do that. I'll tell you, as the former RNC co-chair, we worked very closely with Turning Point USA. What Charlie was able to do is really miraculous. When you think about the fact that he didn't finish college, he dropped out of college, yet his goal was to mobilize these students to really change the tenor on college campuses, and he was able to do that. We saw a huge shift in young voters. This election in particular, especially with young men, Charlie played such a huge role in that. I don't think you can ever overstate it. I said this last night on Jesse's show, but I believe that Donald Trump probably wouldn't be president right now without the assistance of Charlie Kirk. What he has done and his legacy, I think, is even too big to comprehend right now. The void and the hole that will be left is enormous. And I'm just hopeful, as someone who cares about, this country and the forward progress of this country, that someone is able to pick up where Charlie left off. Turning Point USA is such an important organization. I'm personally very grateful for everything he did, all the work he did. And you can't go to one of those events without palpably taking in how impactful Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah, I want to get your response in part to what Lara is saying, because what she's talking about is more than a movement. It's a complete political shift. If you get a whole new generation of voters who have the kind of bravery to speak out that he embodied.
Yeah, Lara saw it firsthand at the RNC. I saw the data online today. A 44-point shift in Gen Z men over 2 years. How did that happen? Charlie Kirk. That happened because of Charlie Kirk. And when I look at that image on the screen, I know we have to show it. I know how important that is for law enforcement purposes, but I have rage in my soul when I see that individual. And I want to tell that person, and I hope someone does convey this to this person someday, somehow. Charlie had a light in him, a special light. And you might have thought you extinguished that light, but boy, did you not extinguish that light. You set a raging fire that is here to stay, and it is a fire that is going across the world when you took that young man's life. I just want to share quickly some texts I got, because I've already shared my personal history with Charlie. These are texts I got from people who didn't know Charlie. One mom said, back to school night last night, was shocked and upset. He promoted free speech. He listened respectfully to dissenters. A mom from across the nation sent another text. I would find clips. I'd show them to my 3 sons. They would almost debate Charlie back. I was teaching them to have civil discourse. A father, I did not realize what voice he had with my kids and young people. Jim Jordan called me last night. He said his grandchildren say he is the Rush Limbaugh of their generation. And Chip Roy this morning shared with me a Bible verse his son sent him. And I think this is just sums up Charlie and sums up this moment. 1 Corinthians 15:58. He said this, therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Charlie's labor was not in vain, and you on the other side of the screen, you lit a raging fire.
A Christian believer, an angel among us versus the devil. It is a spiritual warfare right now. Let's hear from Charlie Kirk a little bit. Let's watch.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults, The left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
Such an incredible legacy that he himself said he wants to be remembered for his courage of faith. And that's all wrapped up with him unequivocally and at every opportunity advocating for peace and the civil discourse. 4 years ago, someone asked about if political violence was ever justified. And he said, it is incumbent upon us to exhaust all peaceful options. And there was a figure larger than life that represented so much, saying, I've got death threats. I've been assaulted in public. It is heartbreaking that there was a success to one of those measures. That bullet did not just take Charlie Kirk's life. It pierced a movement. And I thought the same thing, Laura. I wondered, in this huge void, in this larger-than-life shoes to fill, who will step up? And then I realized, but Charlie's legacy is empowering these millions of Americans that have been empowered with, charged with, and inspired by the concept that civil discourse and engaging, thoughtful listening and simply robust debate is the way to move forward, because we are all Americans at one time. And what breaks my heart in this moment is the loss for this nation, the trajectory he was on, and also that he did everything right. He did everything right, which was to espouse the benefits of peaceful, robust discourse. He was doing it all right. Even his fiercest critics applauded him for doing that, and yet he paid the ultimate price for it.
Well, again, we need your help. The FBI is trying to identify the whereabouts of this person of interest. So please look at your screen right now. And again, we are putting this across all of our social platforms. So even during the commercial, check it out. Authorities say this guy is connected to the Charlie Kirk assassination. The FBI tip line now, 1-800.
The question now is, who will be bold enough, like Charlie was? Who? That is the question. Who will be bold enough to go outside and speak with confidence like Charlie did, openly, with everybody, anybody who wanted to talk with him? Who? Who is going to do it? Who will do it? Now, turning point, what's going to happen? There are a lot of influential people part of the turning point movement. But who's going to go outside like Charlie did without fear?
We're going to go to that press conference. We've been awaiting FBI, local law enforcement. There's Kash Patel. I can't see who else is in the picture, but I'm sure that they will introduce themselves. We've been waiting for this for a long time. A lot of breaking developments tonight in terms of a recovered weapon. We have this new TMZ video that we've been airing for you. We know that they have palm prints. We know that they have fingerprints. We know that they have footprints. Let's listen in.
This evening, we have FBI Director Patel, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, Governor Spencer Cox, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and Commissioner Anderson, as well as, Commissioner Bo Mason, as well as some local partners here present with us today. Governor, we'll kick it off. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate the media and the partnership we have with you in helping us to get information out to the public so that we can catch this assassin and hold him accountable. We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. So we're going to cue up the video right now, show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
Thank you, Governor. Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video, and I'll narrate as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black T-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive T-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence. Good. You want to go to the stills? So here's the still photographs I mentioned. These have been enhanced. So these are slightly different than what we introduced earlier. Please pay close attention to the T-shirt. Like I said, very distinctive with that American flag and that eagle. The hat with the triangle and the sunglasses. If you'll go to the next picture, please. The backpack as well. All identifying features that we're hoping the public can help us identify and lead us to this suspect. Next picture. And again, there's a better picture of the hat with that triangle logo, and again, the T-shirt. Blue jeans, and you get a good look at those Converse tennis shoes as well. We have pushed these out. We'll continue to push these out, and we just ask for the public's cooperation through the public. The tips that have been coming in are what are giving us our next leads and enabling us to continue to further this investigation. We've had great cooperation from the public, and we're continuing to ask for that as we move forward. Thank you, and I'll turn the time back over to Governor Cox.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mason. I want to thank Director Patel and his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have working hand in hand with the state and with the FBI as we move forward with this investigation. Now, I'll just give you a little warning. We will not be taking any questions at this time. We're giving you the latest information we have, being as transparent with everything that we have. But I do want to share a couple things that I think are important. We cannot do our job without the public's help right now. The public has answered our call for action. So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips. I would just note that the FBI hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing. This case also highlights the dedication of our law enforcement community. We have 20 federal, state, and local law enforcement partners that are working shoulder to shoulder to find the person who committed this horrific crime. With their support, we've completed nearly 200 interviews. As you're aware, as has already been reported, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. We also continue to implore the public to support this investigation and come forward with any information. We are truly hopeful that this video and new photos will lead to even more tips. We are processing. We have an incredible team, a state and federal team working together to process those tips. We are going out in tandem to interview any potential person of interest or suspects. But we need, again, we need as much help as we can possibly get. Any videos or photos that you might have, the public, should be submitted to our digital media tip line, which is www.fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. Again, that is fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. You can also provide general tips about the shooting by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI, or at tips.fbi.gov. This is, I would just say, this is not just a local matter here in Utah. We have people all over the country that are helping to bring this perpetrator to justice for Charlie Kirk and his family. I will just add as well that, as was mentioned, there is a lot of forensic evidence that is being processed right now at both the state lab and the and federal labs, federal lab in on the East Coast. So we are working in tandem together. I would also just add a word of note for those people who are spending so much time on social media. I think Charlie said it best, that when things get bad, we should put our phones down and spend a little time with our families. There is a tremendous amount of disinformation. We are tracking our team, the state team, and I'm sure the federal team as well. What we're seeing is our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over
No, please. No. Okay. Stop. Just stop. I don't want to hear nothing about China, about Russia, about North Korea. Nothing. Okay? Bye. Do your jobs.
All right. Obviously, that was President Trump just now, unscripted, taking questions from the whole world. The urgent manhunt still underway for Charlie Kirk's assassin. We could have an answer to who did it. We certainly have a photo. This is the photo we all been looking at all day. It was delayed to be released. It caught everybody by surprise. Why delay it? But the person of interest, you're looking at him. They are offering $100,000 for his capture. We can, meanwhile, we continue to mourn the loss of a husband, of a dad, 2 young children, and a generational talent, Charlie Kirk, powerful voice, who never shied away from respectful debate.
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their...
Yep, and here he is persuading college kids on campus. Just listen.
Let's think about this more deeply, because I could tell you're smart. Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a
so
registered
I
voter.
vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's where we are on different planets. And that's okay. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying to be graceful in the way that we're going about this.
Pancakes or waffles?
Oh, pancakes all day.
No.
100%.
No.
Hello, Charlie. So
what's your name?
None of your business, unfortunately.
Nice to meet you. None of your business.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, how? Why? How? America, why? That's the question I have to ask you, America. Why did you do this to this loving man? He has his beliefs. You don't have to agree with everything that he says or does, but he uses his words. So you can't use your words. You had to take this man away from his kids, from his wife, from his family? Really? I don't care about his businesses, like, what he started or all of that stuff. I truly care about his kids and wife. Do I care about Turning Point? Yeah, but not as much as I would care about his kids and his wife. In America, you did this to Charlie Kirk. Just like 62 years ago, America, you did this to Charlie Kirk, and you did that to JFK. So sad.
And that's why some of those videos went viral, because it was unscripted, it was real, and it was a legitimate debate. People that didn't like him lined up to meet him. Harold, this is a page out of the Harold Ford playbook, I think. You like debating people that don't agree with you, and you don't get angry, and you listen. I mean, and this guy did it with a smile.
He did. Look, I'm still moved by all of this, like we all are, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to come back and maybe before the show is up or before the night is up, we'll have more details about this guy, this killer. Each political base, it's interesting to me, Brian. Each political base, the Republican and Democrat, their extremes and the loudest in their party are always urging politicians and those representing them to fight. Democrats said, we want to fight, fight, fight. Even Republicans want to fight, fight, fight.
Didn't Gavin Newsom just say that directly? It's time to punch them in the mouth?
All of them. I'm saying it goes on both sides. I mean, I watched Senator Mark Wayne Mullen and Josh Gottheimer earlier today both acknowledge that both sides do this. The energy that we need, and what I hear from Charlie, and one of the reasons I didn't agree with him on very much, at least not a lot of things he expressed publicly, where we did agree, and I think is indisputable, is that we love our country. And we just expressed it differently. And I love the fact that he was willing to have those kind of conversations with people. To your point, you were nice to say that about me. But you never hear the energy in the base of each of the parties urging politicians to solve, solve, solve. Everyone wants to fight, fight, fight. And I think one of the legacies and one of the things this young man will be remembered for is that he had a fervor and he had an energy, but he wanted that back and forth. Even if the back and forth got a little contentious, it was civil and oftentimes very serious. And that's what our political, not only discourse needs, that's what our political culture needs more of. Every time I listen to him, and I didn't agree with him very much, but he always seems like he was trying to get to an answer. And in politics today, I think one of the great failings and shortcomings of our political class on both sides is that everyone is just trying to settle a score. Everyone wants to say, I beat you on that point, on that point, on that point, not remembering or easily forgetting that we represent people and that they're real people.
I have to 1000% agree with him right here. Moving forward, I don't care if I've always said this every time, but if you are a Republican and you do a show, or you have a TV show or whatever you got going on for yourself. If you are a Democrat, you have a show or whatever you got going on for yourself. Please, we should stop calling each other names. Whether you are a Republican, you should not call the people on the Democratic side deranged lunatics. And if you are a Democrat, you should not call the people in the Republican side fascist or Hitler. Can we just stop that? Because it's like you forget that you are American and you wear the hat of a Republican more than you actually say you are American. You say you are a Democrat more than you would say you are American. And I feel like this is why we are here. Everybody pointing fingers and promoting the division. Even up until now, until now, I still see Republican, conservative with huge following. Even after Charlie's situation, they're still calling Democrats, the people on the left, deranged lunatics. In the same time, I see people, the Democrat, calling the Republican, well, these guys are dictators. They're Hitlers. Even after this whole thing happened, it's like we cannot survive without pointing fingers. It's like America cannot just live life without looking for enemies within. And yet, we say China is the enemy, Russia is the enemy. No, we are our own enemies. We are. It's not China, it's not Russia. It's we, us, calling these people on that side these names, or this side that name. Just for what? I don't know. Maybe I don't even get it. This content creation because you're trying to keep people watching you or you want views. I don't even get it. It's like, I don't get it really. I don't get it. I'm trying to figure it out. But we should promote being Americans rather than being Democrats and being Republicans. Can we just be Americans? Can we all say, you know what? I'm American. I voted for Trump, but I'm American. I don't have to be, well, he's on the right. Well, I'm on the left. As long as we have the right and the left, we, in my opinion, will always be divided.
Who are going to be impacted by these things. And I hope that those who celebrate this young man's life over the next several days, and I know the country is going to celebrate him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, that is one of the things that is talked. That's what I heard from Katie and what I've heard from all around the table. That's this young man's legacy. And I hope Democrat, Republican alike are able to learn something from it.
Katie, the other thing is he was winning the argument. If you think about, and not until he passed away after the assassination did I fully realize it, because I was there early. They just said, this guy, Charlie Kirk, has got this group. You want to speak in front of him? I thought, okay, I couldn't believe the size of the crowd and how young they were. And they told me about his movement. But I didn't see much movement in the electorate. Mm-hmm. It took a couple election cycles. Right. But now he's got the majority. But he did it by not having big parties. He had better ideas. And he made it cool to want to be part of his posse.
And he gave everyone, but particularly his mission was to reach the younger generations an alternative, a better way to approach their own American dream. And he was effective. I mean, if you look at the numbers, just in terms of political issues, Democrats in 2023 had men 18 to 29 years old by 26 points. In 2025, Republicans had that same group by plus 18. So he was changing hearts and minds on policy issues by offering solutions. He talked about marriage. He talked about the American dream. He talked about the things you can do to better your life. And he was brilliant. He didn't go to college. He was constantly going to college campuses, not just debating, but teaching people so many detailed things about his Christian faith, about the economy.
And I think here is another point that I have to make. Some Republicans and some Democrats, when you start saying things like, well, we should not, you know what, we shouldn't say the left or the right, all of a sudden, they don't like you anymore. It's like, well, he's being, I don't know, he's soft. They don't like you anymore. They like the hate. They like the division. They like, when you see people promoting division, go watch their streams. They have 200,000 people watching their streams. The people promoting division, talking about these big channels. We all know these big channels. You have 100,000 people watching them. And they call the other side crazy names. And you see people in the chat, yes, yeah, we do. And now, here we are. It's like we want to be divided. When you start preaching love and Republicans and Democrats, forget about that crap. Focus on being American. You have been disowned. They're going to go right straight to their fellow people that like to divide. They love division. They love hate. I'm talking to both Republicans and Democrats because all of you guys here are probably subscribed to those guys right now. And it's just facts. That's why, look, when we started this stream, I said, ask yourself, are you part of the problem? Are you part of the issue? Are you part of the divide? Are you part of the situation dividing America right now? Everyone's going to say, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. But take a look at the people that you follow. Take a look at the people that you watch for hours every week. I always say here, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. You are an American first. Country before party. But nope, they don't like that.
About world history. He would go to the UK and debate at the Oxford Union on very serious, deep topics. He was never superficial in any of his discussions with people who agreed with him or people who disagreed with him. And he tried to offer some clarity, mostly through his faith, to young people who felt like they had none, that they didn't have opportunity in this country. They didn't know right from wrong. And he's able to do that. And with his attitude towards all of this, and I find it just so admirable because so many people, including me, struggle with it, is he was so resolved in his mission and that everything would be okay. And he walked into the most violent in terms of the caustic nature of campuses around the country, and he walked into them willingly, and he taught, knowing he had a wife and a family and that the threats were there and having to have security. And he did it anyway because he believed it would be okay, and eventually his faith would protect him and it would pay off. And so it's paid off politically, and he's just touched so many people throughout his time. And obviously it was cut way too short.
Right. And with all this, Dana, out of all the tapes I've seen and the sparring sessions that I witnessed and the interactions, what I'm going to remember is that video that when the cameras went down and the show was over on his appearance on Fox and Friends on the weekend, when I think his 2-year-old daughter ran up to him.
I think she's 4. I think that.
4.
And he was a loving father, and he encouraged and inspired a lot of young men to want to be fathers. If you look at over the past 5 years, even how the numbers of young men who saying, "I want to be a dad, I want to be I want to have a commitment, I want to go to church, I want to be a good man." A lot of that you can say, okay, wait. If you think about how many followers he had and how fervent they were, it's so interesting. Plus, he was doing something on college campuses that the professors are not doing. He was providing a forum for civil debate and in a fun way, and willing to take any question. That's not happening in the lecture halls. The other thing I was thinking about is I mostly saw him in interviews that he did on cable news, okay? Now, watching all these other videos, I'm starting to understand more how the younger generation saw him even more intimately, right? They're watching these videos on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever they were seeing them. And I think about how they had
And that's the thing. Right now, these kids, they don't even pay attention in class, in colleges or high school. Everybody is here. Every human being from 13 or 12 years old and above is here right now, watching TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and every other social media platform. So really, who is doing the indoctrination? Most people are getting indoctrinated here. It's not even in real life. They don't even listen to their parents because they're in their room on this 24/7. In class, they're on their phone with their headphones or AirPods in their ears, listening to their favorite influencer or streamer or whoever. Everybody is on here. So if you are watching someone saying deranged lunatic, or if you are constantly watching someone telling you, well, this guy is Hitler, is a dictator, every day, day in, day out. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's the same effect. You can be an extreme Democrat or you can be an extreme Republican. And by that, you are willing to do harm to your fellow Americans because you are just not okay up here anymore and you need help. You definitely need help.
Access to somebody like this in the medium of their time. We had Alex P. Keaton of Family Ties on NBC. I mean, and I was like, oh, that's a conservative guy.
Yeah.
And he was an outsider. And I was like, that's what it felt like when you were a younger conservative 25 years ago. And now it is pretty amazing to think that it is a cool thing to be. And I will maybe make this last point. Today was going to be heavy no matter what, because it's the anniversary of 9/11, the 24th anniversary. So on September 11th, 2001, we felt like we could all come together because there was an enemy that wanted to destroy our way of life, that hated the idea of freedom of Western civilization. And now you get to September 11th of 2025, and it's extra heavy and very chilling because you think the enemy might be within. And that's a choice. And I feel like America's at this very fragile state where we could go in either direction. I hope we go in the direction of.
The question now is, where do we go? Where do we go from here? America? Everybody in this chat is probably an American. So I'm asking you, where do we go from here? After this whole debacle, where do we go? How do we move forward? What is the next step? Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, I don't care. We're talking about America as a country. Where do we go now?
Of more civil debate. But I find this to be a very scary time, and I hope that they catch this guy quickly and that we figure out a way to protect others who are out there bravely communicating.
I'll tell you, it sounded grim and very well said. It sounded really grim last night that we were going to catch this guy at all. I thought this was going to be like the Atlanta bombing. It takes years. But the fact that they found the gun, they found the casing, they know exactly what happened. There's evidently writing on the casing. They know he's got blue jeans, and they know he's got that shirt on and those glasses. So hopefully people said, I know that guy. Greg.
You mentioned civil debate. The word, you need two sides to be civil.
Yep.
And I agree with everything Harold said except both sides. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. And I'll tell you why. You know, the Democrats, they didn't target politicians. They targeted people. You know, I will never.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. Now we've started. Okay. I love Greg. I admire Greg. But we cannot say stuff like this now. The Democrats, they've targeted. Now, I get it. He's allowed to say that. It is what it is. But when he says that, and then we go to CNN or we go to MSNBC and they say, well, the Republicans have targeted this. We are the problem. Can't we see what's going on right in front of our eyes? We are the issues. We have the answer to our problem in our hands. Now we're going to go to CNN, and then someone on CNN is going to say, well, we both know that Trump is a dictator. And we come here to say, well, the Democrat have never. Man. Oh no, man. Oh no. I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. I just don't know.
Forget Joe Biden in Philly in that dark, dark speech. You know, Tesla owners, they're not politicians. ICE agents aren't politicians. Trump supporters, demonized by the millions, they're not politicians. I mean, Trump went after individual celebrities and names, never went after the voter. I'm not saying that the Democrats killed Charlie Kirk. That would be crazy. I see them more like an absentee parent whose violent offspring did. You know, they knew that their parenting skills were bad because we told them about it on this show. We warned them. That's what drives me crazy is we warned them about the rhetoric over and over again. Even after attempts on Trump, the Tesla vandals, which are the product of the media and the Democrats' direct language about Elon Musk, and they still didn't change their path. Right now, a lot of them, and I exclude Harold from this because Harold has always been sincere and legit from day one. Right now, Democrats are playing catch up. They're saying the right things. They're like the parents of a mass shooter expressing sympathy for the victims. But they knew. They bought him the guns. Now, I just want to, I didn't mean to say that. I want to talk about something that I notice about Charlie Kirk that personally means a lot to me, and that is his faith. You know, from his faith, something amazing comes from it that I never really understood. You know, people will say that he's fearless, but what if he wasn't fearless? What if he was doing all of this with a measure of fear? How brave is that? The fact that he's going out there with he's not fearless at all. And that for me is a lesson in fear and in self-doubt that, like, you know, as someone who used to take a drink before doing a live event in front of thousands, or cradling a glass of wine while doing book signings, or getting blasted before boarding a flight, you know, it was a lack of faith in my ability to handle fear. This would be I had to do this thing before I could handle something that scared me. He did something every day that might have scared him, and you couldn't tell. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I can't.
I know,
Greg,
I know.
But to say Democrats, the history of our nation, we regrettably, unfortunately, have a history of violence in American politics. And just as recently as early part of the year, Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, had his house caught on fire.
Yeah, but you don't want to do the math.
The Minnesota
Harold, you're going to lose.
That was anti-Semitism.
No, but what I'm saying is, but to say Democrats, President Trump, who is a friend of mine, has said that Democrats are terrible.
He's talking about the leaders. Your party demonized the voter, and we can't. I mean.
I differ with you on this. But you and we're great pals, but I differ with you on this, and I think this is not the path we want to go down at this very moment. That's the only thing.
Exactly. This is not the path we want to be on right now. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. At this point, this man's situation should come to everybody's senses that, wait, what are we doing? Everybody needs to come back to their senses and say, you know what? I don't even care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. At this point, listen to this.
President Trump, who is a friend of mine, has said that Democrats are terrible.
He's talking about the leaders. Your party demonized the voter. And we can't argue.
That is what is causing division in America.
I mean,
I differ with you on this. But you and we're great pals, but I differ with you on this. And I think this is not the path we want to go down at this very moment. That's the only thing I caution everybody.
Screw you, Harold. In your face.
The only thing I would say, you know, the first one to make MAGA or try to make MAGA a negative word was Joe Biden. And it didn't work. Because
oh, great. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm tired, man. Yeah, it's like we feed off of this shit right here. We feed off of it. Every single one of us, we feed off of this division. It's like if we're not bringing each other down, then we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, or doing what our viewers want us to do. It's as easy as that. It's like you have to be a certain person, you have to talk a certain way for people to say, you know what, yeah, I rock with that guy. You can't just be American and say, you know what, I stand with or for America. You have to be, I don't know.
Development in the manhunt for the assassin who gunned down conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Officials just released this image. They are asking for the public's help in identifying the person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting. CNN's Nick Watt is following this breaking news. Nick, you are in Orem, Utah. This is a really significant moment that this is being put out to crowdsource.
Absolutely. So, Dana, we were told that they made some key breakthroughs overnight. One of those breakthroughs was good, clean video images of this suspect. Now, we were told about 2.5 hours ago that investigators were using technology to try to find an identity from that video image. We were told they were pretty confident that they could do that, but if they couldn't, then they were going to release the images to the public to try and get the public's help. They have now released those images on X, on other platforms, and it shows, as we were told earlier, a college-aged male who, as investigators say, could very easily have blended in with the crowd here on campus. 3,000 people here to see Charlie Kirk yesterday. They described this young male suspect as college age, able to blend in. So the other key breakthroughs that they discussed, they have found the weapon, a high-powered bolt-action rifle with some writings. They are going through those writings. FBI analysts looking at the writings, also at the weapon, also trying to find an identity. It is now coming up on 22 hours since the shooting, and of course with every hour this task gets harder. They found the weapon in a wooded area behind the campus in the direction that they know the suspect fled, but the suspect himself was not found in that wooded area, and as an FBI special agent said this morning, they don't know how far he has gone. So they've been gathering video imaging from security cameras, from the many students who obviously had cell phones on them. We've seen the image of a person running across the roof just after the shots were fired. They now have all the doorbell camera video from the neighborhood through which the suspect fled, and of course they will just be trying to piece this together to try and track this suspect as far as they possibly can. But this is a major breakthrough. This is also a major admission that they have not been able to, I would assume, use the technology they were using on those images to try and draw an identity themselves. That is why they have now thrown this open to the public, asking for the public's help, as they have been from the moment the investigation started. The FBI says they've had over 130 tips by this morning, images, video. They want more of that, and now they want the public's help in trying to identify the person shown in these images. Dana?
I also understand that we have some new information about some words and phrases that were imprinted on the gun that certainly could give some indication of perhaps at least some of the motive here.
Correct. This is reporting from my colleague Evan Perez that there was some writing found with the gun, with the ammunition, and they are obviously analyzing that to see if this writing leads them to an identity of the suspect, or if it is perhaps, ramblings on current cultural events. Analysts are going through that right now. Now, Evan Perez also reports that they found a screwdriver with that weapon, because one of the questions that I've had is, okay, sure, this suspect could have blended into a crowd on a college campus. But could a suspect blend into a crowd on a college campus while carrying a long gun? Now, one theory, perhaps, is that that screwdriver that they found would have been used to disassemble and assemble that rifle. Now, we've also heard from authorities that they've put together a timeline. They believe that the suspect arrived just by the campus at 11:52 a.m. local time. That is 28 minutes before the shooting, 8 minutes before the Charlie Kirk event began. They have tracked the suspect up stairwells across the roof to the shooting position that we believe is on top of a college campus building, with about a 200-yard straight shot to where Charlie Kirk was sitting when he was hit. So major developments, Dana, but still no suspect in custody. They have they have taken in 2 people for questioning over the course of the investigation. They've been questioned and released. They are completely out of the picture in terms of the investigation. No stigma on them whatsoever. They are searching for this person. They've just released the images of the person who they desperately want to find. Dana?
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate that very important reporting. And on these new developments, we're going to continue the conversation with retired FBI Special Agent Daniel Brunner. Thank you so much for being here. First, what does the fact that they have released this photo tell you as somebody who has been involved in FBI investigations like this?
Well, it tells me that the investigation is going through its normal course of action. I believe that this is just another step in putting more pressure on this individual to make a mistake. And that right there is the key where investigators are looking for, is they want this individual to make a mistake. He may have planned the next 24, 48 hours after the incident, but at some point he's going to get tired. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to get hungry. He's going to get cold. Very much similar to the Luigi Mangione manhunt, where he made a mistake. And that's all that it takes, is one small mistake. And he's on the run. So this individual planned for this. He prepared his escape plan, but he's already making mistakes by leaving the rifle, leaving the screwdriver, and clearly, getting digital evidence where he was tracked across the campus. And they're going to go backwards from there. They're going to watch him where he approaches campus. And from there, they're going to go even further back. Did he walk down around campus? Did he approach campus? They're going to look at all the digital evidence that's out there. But another key thing that they're doing here is pushing this photograph out, is people who have digital phones. They may have captured his image. And that's why it'll motivate individuals to say, well, maybe I'll turn in my phone now for evidence, which will increase the amount of intelligence that they can get.
Oh, that's interesting, that this might be a way for them to just get more information and more, as you said, evidence from people who have not yet given that to law enforcement. Can you just explain, when you talk about the digital element of the investigation, what that looks like?
Well, there's multiple aspects to the digital evidence. You've got your telephones, you've got your cell phones, you've got cameras, you've got multiple things coming in from different sides. We live in a digital world. We live in a digital world where things can come in. You've got aircraft, you've got cell phones, computers. He's going to leave a digital signature out there. And that's what they're going to look for. That's what they're going to try and find.
And the fact that there was writing on this weapon, again, we don't know. Of course, this could suggest motive or a set of motives, but does that do anything for investigators when it comes to tracking this person down?
Well, the FBI has a lot of tools at their disposal, and one of the greatest tools is the Behavioral Analysis Unit, the BAU at Quantico. I'm sure they're all getting all of this data. They're getting all of the digital evidence along with the writing. They're going to analyze it. They're going to try and paint the picture of who his mental state was leading up to the attack, during the attack. They're going to look at everything. Nothing will get unturned. Nothing's going to be not analyzed. So they're going to try and figure out where he may be next, where he is going to proceed. And they obviously have the direction of travel, where they've recovered the weapon. And they're going to look at possibly, does he have other resources? Is he communicating with other people? They're going to look at cell phone towers to see what cell phones were being utilized in the area. And they're going to look at that and see if there is a pattern. If there's one common number that seems to have moved across campus, they'll start analyzing that. It's a lot of data. There's a lot of information, but putting this out there, putting his face out there, increases the number of people that are looking out their window. The best thing that happened in this community here is everyone knows in that community knows their streets. They know their neighborhood. They're going to look for an individual matching this description that just doesn't fit the neighborhood. The FBI has just increased the number of eyes that are looking around for this individual now.
It's like
The FBI and Utah.
just like C. Shelley, good genes, C. Shelley would say, she would say, stay united, ladies and gentlemen. Stay united. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, at this point, we shouldn't care. Just stay united, man. Look, stay united. That's all we all should be preaching at this point, because the more we keep saying the ranged left lunatics or Trump is a dictator or MAGA is whatever, the more the division gets wider. Just like I told you guys, I think it was 2-3 days ago, I was on stream and somebody went on my Instagram and he started typing on like 4 of my posts. It was like, can't believe you voted for Trump. Did you really vote for Trump? Did you really vote for Trump? It's like, I'm not coming to your page saying, did you really vote for Kamala Harris? I don't care who you voted for. Why do you care so much who I voted for? I voted for Trump. Okay. So what? You voted for Kamala. So what? She lost the election. Trump won the election. Okay. You have 2028. Try again. If a Democrat wins in 2028, okay. Just like a Democrat won in 2020. Joe Biden was the president of the United States. But people take this too seriously, man. Because if they didn't take it too seriously, they would not have done what they did to Charlie Kirk.
Police postponing a news conference, citing, quote, rapid developments in our investigation, end quote. And now a source tells CNN that FBI Director Kash Patel is en route to Utah to assist the investigation. Hello, everyone. I'm Casey Hunt. Welcome to the arena. Those rapid developments coming just hours after they released these photos of a person of interest connected to the case. The person seen wearing a hat, sunglasses, a long sleeve shirt. Let's be clear. The FBI says this is a person of interest. They have not yet identified them formally as a suspect. Earlier in the day, police announced that they've recovered what they believe to be the murder weapon, a high-powered rifle alongside ammunition and a screwdriver in a wooded area near the crime scene. Sources tell CNN that the rifle and the ammunition were marked with phrases related to cultural issues. We are still working through what those phrases and cultural issues are, but authorities are analyzing them as they try to identify the suspect. The FBI is now offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to their arrest.
Any attack on the First Amendment is an attack on the very foundation of our democracy. That is why we will relentlessly pursue this case and the shooter until we find him.
All right, our panel is here, but then we're going to get started with our CNN team. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez, national correspondent Nick Watt, who is on the campus of Utah Valley University. CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes is with us, and CNN's senior law enforcement analyst, the former deputy director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe, is here. And Kristen, I do want to start with you because any minute now, the vice president, J.D. Vance, set to land in Utah. We now know Kash Patel is also on his way there. What else are you hearing from this administration as they grapple with the death of a close friend and, of course, a key political ally?
Well, Casey, look, there's still a lot of grief, there's a lot of sadness, and there's also a lot of anger. But one thing to point out about what we're seeing with Vice President J.D. Vance, I mean, they are clearly treating Charlie Kirk like he's not just part of the administration, but that he was part of their actual families. Vice President J.D. Vance was supposed to be in New York on 9/11 to commemorate that. Instead, he flew to Utah while there is an investigation into a assassin who targeted a conservative activist, a friend of his, who is still on the loose, so not ideal security-wise, to meet with Kirk's family and then bring Kirk's body back to Arizona, where he is from, on Air Force Two. You obviously are seeing this enhancement from the FBI, bringing out the director to have him on the ground as well. They are treating this in every aspect as though Kirk was a member of their own family. And in some ways, when you talk to these administration officials and these Trump advisors, they feel like he was. They do feel this sense of loyalty to one another, a very small, tight-knit group of people who has been with Trump for so many years. And they believe that Kirk was part of that. So that's why you're seeing such a difficulty with this White House as they grapple with this. We just heard from Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. She did an interview with Scott Jennings on his radio show where she said she talked to all of them last night, all of the staffers, saying, go home and hug your family and then speak louder, because that's what Charlie Kirk would have wanted. This is hitting them all very hard. And it's something that I'm talking to a number of these Trump advisors who say they're still processing it.
No, of course, incredibly difficult to grapple with on so many levels for them. Evan Perez, the news conference that was scheduled for this afternoon was postponed because of these, quote, rapid developments. What might that mean? What are your sources telling you about the investigation?
Well, we know right now that there's still no arrest. And so whatever rapid developments are, they do not involve an arrest. And so the FBI is still grappling with really trying to get the public to provide tips. That's the reason why you've seen those new images. I think there was a debate behind the scenes because, you know, investigators tend to want to keep these details to themselves while they work the investigative details, the evidence that they have at hand. But it might be an indication that they really have run out of those, and so they need the public to provide more tips. And so that's where we're at. The biggest piece of evidence right now so far is really the firearm that has been recovered. You know, we talked a little bit about, and you mentioned those markings, those etchings that were on the firearm. And I should note that, you know, those were from initial reports from the field that some analysts have been interpreting what they mean. Until there's an arrest, we don't know exactly what those mean. And so that's part of the reason why I think investigators are hesitant about drawing any conclusions about this, Casey. And at this point, again, because time is of the essence, they need to find a way to find this person before they perhaps carry out another shooting. I mean, that's the other possibility here that investigators have to keep in mind, that this person was doing this and may have other possible targets in mind. And so that is also a top concern for investigators. But the reason, the fact that you have Kash Patel going to the scene, Dan Bongino, I'm told, is also headed there. He's the deputy director of the FBI. What it tells you is that this is a high priority for the FBI, for this administration, and it's for those reasons that Kristen just laid out there just a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, no, of course. And let's bring in, on that note, Nick Watt. You're on the ground in Utah. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from a community that is, of course, mourning, but also concerned about some of the things that Evan was just laying out? There's a gunman on the loose.
Well, you know, local officials were quick to reassure people here to say this was a targeted killing. They don't believe that the public is at risk. Now, listen, before Charlie Kirk came here, this campus was divided. A lot of people didn't want him to come. There was a petition trying to stop him coming. Now, this campus, although it's not in session, these students are kind of united in their condemnation of violence. You know, it's been an interesting morning. It's now, by the way, 24 hours plus since the shooting. First thing this morning, we were told there were some key developments overnight. We were told that they had this good video of the suspect, that they were using technology, and they were very confident that they were going to extract an identification, an ID from that video. A couple of hours later, they clearly hadn't managed to do that, and that's when they released these images. Then we had this press conference that was supposed to happen about an hour ago, postponed because of rapid developments, then the $100,000 reward. Meantime, there are local officers as well as federal agents combing the area to the north, to the other side of this campus, which is where officials say this suspect fled. They are going door to door asking for ring camera video. They are trying to piece together his movements. And as the FBI special agent said this morning, you know, we don't know how far he's gone. And remember, it's been 24 hours. So, you know, we were inside the campus building earlier, and it was interesting to see some of the aftermath of the reaction. Of course, people are conditioned when they hear a gunshot to believe that there are going to be more. I was walking through inside the building, and you could see a banana peel, a half-empty bag of chips, people who had just left their stuff and run. There were chairs knocked over. You could see the aftermath of that panic. Meantime, as you say, there is your thoughts for the family, who we are now told Charlie Kirk's wife and children were actually here. There is a small memorial, and as you say, Charlie Kirk's body will be taken from here in Utah to Arizona later. So shock, and as I say, a community that was divided over whether Kirk should come, now pretty much united in the belief that he should not have been killed. Back to you.
Nick, can I also ask you about this spot shadow video of someone on the roof from yesterday? What do we know about that?
Yeah. Well, nothing further. I mean, you can see it was shot from inside the building right after the shot was fired, and you see this dark figure running across the roof. Now, that roof, we saw police tape up there later. We believe that that is the position from which the shooter loosed off that one round that killed Charlie Kirk. About 150 yards, clear line of sight across one other roof. Then local officials tell us they believe that this gunman turned, ran, jumped down from the roof, and as I say, fled through the neighborhood to the north. That is where they found this weapon. That is where they are concentrating all of their investigations right now. Multiple different locations. We've been told that they basically, the crime scenes are dependent on where the victim and the suspect traveled. And they have managed to put together a bit of a timeline. You know, they now say that the suspect arrived just off campus 11:52. The Charlie Kirk event started at 12. This is all local time. 12:20 is when that round was fired. And, you know, you can see from the image, as we were told this morning, that this suspect is college age and, as we were told, could easily have blended in with the 3,000 or so people who were here on this campus to listen to Charlie Kirk and to debate with Charlie Kirk. So that is the focus right now, this photo and anything that they can find in that neighborhood over there. But listen, as I say, the FBI, the last we heard from them, they said, we don't know how far he's gone. 24.
Hopefully they find this guy. I have positive mindset that they would find this guy, even if, in my opinion, he should have been caught before this happened to the great Charlie Kirk. He's gone too soon at 31 years old. And it's just too sad, man. It's sad. What else do you guys want us to talk about? Because, this is just Charlie's day, man. It's going to be Charlie's week, probably. All right, Don Jr. is here with Hannity. Let's listen to this.
Earlier today at the White House, President Trump had the opportunity to remember Charlie Kirk while speaking to reporters. Let's take a look.
I spoke to Erica, his wife,
And we had a long talk, and she's devastated. She is absolutely devastated, as you can imagine. I've never seen a person that was a little bit older get along so well with you. He got along with young people. I've never seen anything like it, and he really helped me a lot. I did very well, as you know, with young people, and he was a big factor.
Mr. President, are you going to go to Charlie Kirk's funeral, sir?
I will be.
You will. Do you know when that will be?
I believe it's in Arizona, and they've asked me to go, and I think I have an obligation to do.
Do you know when that will be?
I'm hearing I hear next weekend. Whenever it is, I'll be going.
All right, joining us now is Donald Trump Jr. is with us. First of all, Don, thanks for being here. Our deepest sympathies. I know how close you were to Charlie, how much he loved you, your entire family, especially your father. You know, I'm for a lot of people, we're having a very hard time comprehending or making sense of this because it doesn't make sense. Your reaction to all of it? I know he was a dear friend of yours.
No, it doesn't make any sense, Sean. I mean, Charlie was such a great guy, kind, articulate, one of the sweetest people I know. You know, he gave so many of those who disagreed with him. He actually gave them his platform to debate. He wanted to have that conversation. He understood without that conversation that violence would ensue, and so he did everything to prevent that. And because he did so, and he did so articulately. And so effectively, they killed him. His threat wasn't that he was a threat or malicious or anything. It was that he was very effective. And they had to make sure that that didn't continue. They tried doing the same thing with my father. I've now had to have, a conversation about a loved one, almost being assassinated or actually being assassinated now 3 times with my 5 young children. And it's just not acceptable, Sean. It has to stop. It's absolutely disgusting. When you think of the things that Charlie spoke about, he spoke about God, he spoke about American values, he spoke about family. It was very controversial, Sean, very controversial that he said, men can't be women. He was about as reasonable as it possibly gets, and it didn't matter. They still killed him. So it's been a rough day.
It has been a rough time. It's been rough for everybody. And, what he was doing was actually magical. It was brilliant in so many different ways. He'd go into a hostile environment, university campus, knowing there's a lot of left-wing indoctrination often going on, invite in everybody, all political points of view, prove me wrong. Let's have a discussion. And he'd do it with a smile on his face, and he was always a good cheer. I never saw the guy unhappy. He was always, upbeat. Always open, didn't care about people disagreeing, wanted to have that dialogue, that debate. I would think a university should be a bastion of free speech and discussion and debate like that.
100%. I mean, he did that so well. And I think that's why he was able to shift and move the needle so much for the youth of America, who for decades were indoctrinated since kindergarten with leftist ideologies. So he went to those places. He understood we couldn't just scream in our echo chambers to people who already agreed with us. We actually had to get out there. And you're not going to win over everyone, Sean, but I think if you look at what he did on college campuses, and God knows I was with him many times at those places, and there were times I questioned it, certainly early on, be like, wait a second, we're conservatives. We're not supposed to do it at a college campus. And we did it. And you realize when he made those arguments and he did it in his calm demeanor, he was able to win over, maybe not the radicals that were there to scream at him, but the people who went in there with an open mind, the people who went in there wanting to find out more, those people heard those arguments, and they realized very quickly that the ideas of the left weren't just bad ideas. They were absolutely ridiculous. And so, I truly credit Charlie with, changing the minds and the mindset of so many millions of Americans, not just youth. I think he probably reached out across the aisle to many people, even if his targeted demographic was the younger generation that so many Republicans avoided for so long. He did that so well. It was funny. I was thinking about it earlier. I think I was the reason he was on your show the first time ever back in 2016. I think I was supposed to do your show, and I was at a speaking thing. Something was late, so I was going to be on stage. And I call you, like, "Hey, Sean, I got a great one for you. I'm sending over Charlie Kirk." And you're like, "Who's Charlie Kirk?" I go, "Trust me, it'll be great." And you're like, "Tell me." I'm like, "Well, he's 21." And like, He's like, Don, I can't put a 21-year-old on in primetime. What, I just Sean, I'm not going to be there. Congratulations.
Right.
I have a great for you.
That's twice in my life I've had to say you were right. That's not, that's an inside. That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
There's a more serious issue at hand here, and that is what has gone on the last 10 years since your father and Melania came down the escalator at Trump Tower. The names that you and your family and your father have been called, the weaponization of our justice system. You know, I was brought this up with Eric last night. Nobody seemed to care that a judge got away with a phony valuation of Mar-a-Lago. Nobody seemed to care that a misdemeanor whose statute of limitations had run out about a legal NDA was turned into a novel 34 felony count. Nobody cared about the double standard rating Mar-a-Lago, but not rating Hillary Clinton's home or Joe Biden. He had 4 locations, top secret classified information. You know, it really is troublesome to me that the left, and add to that their incendiary, insane language, which I do believe it has a dehumanizing effect. Maybe we're now numb to it because I play it every night and I play it every day on radio. I don't know. But we have to examine, they have to be held accountable for this never-ending rage. And it is rage, it is madness. Trump derangement syndrome is real.
And Sean, the violence only goes one way. Okay, it only goes one way. We've seen that now, you know, whether it's the assassination attempts on my father's life, whether it's Charlie Kirk, whether it's the threatening of Supreme Court justice or doxing ICE agents, that goes one way. It is entirely owned by the left. So, you know, when I watch, you know, the radical left.
Okay. There you have it. We keep on calling these names radical left, radical this, radical that. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. So
the possible shooter is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus.
They're saying that
dressed in
whoever did the shooting yesterday was a professional hitter, a professional person to shoot from that far and hit his target. That person was a professional. That's what they're saying. Listen to this.
in all dark clothing.
Where the shot came from?
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at a fair roof. Potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
This is a Fox News alert. Right now, a frantic manhunt to find the assassin who killed Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah yesterday. 2 people were detained, but then they were ultimately released.
Former FBI agent Stuart Kaplan joins us now. Stuart, what can you tell us? This is what they told us. No mention of what the person was, who he is, or she is. Long rifle, perched atop a building east on the school's library, person wearing jeans, a black vest, a black mask. That's all we know.
Law enforcement is quite frankly scrambling right now to work backwards and try to identify first how this person gained access onto that rooftop. But what they do know, and I think their biggest concern, is this was a targeted attack. The target was Charlie Kirk. This same individual had the opportunity to inflict other mass casualties, but this person chose to maintain his or her discipline. They got up, they took the shot, and then they got out of there. That indicates that there was a survey prior to yesterday where this individual had the lay of the land to understand how to get onto this rooftop and then how to very quietly escape undetected at this point. That is a very difficult task for the FBI and other law enforcement partners to work through to try to get some indication of who this person may be.
Stuart, we all want this person to be caught. What is the FBI looking for? Because all we're hearing, like Brian said, person dressed in black. That's like every person.
Well, there's a lot of information that I'm sure that the FBI has. For way of example, we don't know whether or not the shooter left the weapon behind. We don't know whether or not a shell casing. The one bullet was discharged from the rifle. Was it a bolt action? If it was a bolt action, that means someone manually would have to discharge or eject that shell casing. Did they collect the shell casing? Have they sent it for fingerprint analysis or DNA analysis? Now that can be turned around in a very short period of time. That hasn't been disclosed to us with respect to the weapon, the shell casing. And of course, today you're going to see an attempt to try to locate the bullet itself, because the bullet obviously went through Charlie Kirk. It has to end up impaled somewhere. They're going to try to locate that. They're going to try to work backwards. You're going to see them out on this venue with lasers to try to set up some sort of forensic trajectory to see exactly how this person was perched and try to then identify a profile. Was there any active threat against Charlie Kirk that, quite frankly, is not known to the public, and try to nail down if there are individuals that may be out there that they're aware of.
Stuart, give me an idea of the level of skill a sniper had to have to be able to pull off that shot.
Well, like I said, when you take a look at the altitude or the elevation of the way Charlie Kirk was seated, he had a tent over him. And so when you back up, let's say 450 feet, 500 feet, 600 feet, that shot becomes more and more difficult because you're looking down at that target. That is why I believe it wasn't, quote unquote, a headshot. It was taken at the upper torso because the line of sight only exposed Charlie Kirk's upper torso area or the neck area. I think if the tent wasn't concealing Charlie Kirk's head, quite frankly, you would have seen this as a headshot. There is a degree of expertise. There is no doubt in my mind this person is to some extent a professional. This was a professional hit by all accounts, especially by the fact that he had an opportunity to discharge that weapon multiple times randomly, but he chose to stay on target.
Stuart, how confident are you?
Now, when I saw this video, in my mind, I was thinking there's no way it was just one shot and it was precise. But of course, I'm not, an FBI agent or a professional at figuring out if this person is a professional or not, but it was precise. Now, chat, what do you guys think? Do you think this was a professional? I would say I agree with this guy right here. This former FBI agent, I would say I agree with him because truly, the guy could have just, caused mayhem and just shot a couple of people. He didn't do that. He stuck to the price, which for him was Charlie Kirk. And he took a precise shot. And he didn't get its shoulders, or he got precisely where it's almost impossible to come back from. I would say, yes, this person is like what this guy said up here. I think the person is a professional as well.
That they'll catch him.
Well, let me tell you, the men and women of the FBI with their counterparts are the best in the world. I can tell you, with having Kash Patel at the helm, the FBI, and I've spoken to several agents that are now on their way to Utah, you have the best of the best in the world on this planet who are going to work 24 hours a day. They're going to find this guy. The biggest concern is this individual has shown that he is not willing to engage law enforcement. He doesn't want to be apprehended. He doesn't want to be engaged in a shootout. This is a very, very dangerous individual. The threat level to public figures, to include the president, as high as that threat level is, has been elevated exponentially since yesterday.
Stuart, at first I thought, why would he wear black? Look at the buildings. But then I realized the roof is black. All right. And we have footage. At some point we'll show it of a guy walking around. We don't know if it's him. And we have a person commentating saying, what's that guy doing up there? And the other question would be, you got a black mask, you got a black vest, you need ammo, you have a rifle. Are there rifles, sniper rifles, high-level sniper rifles that could separate like a pool stick and be able to put maybe into a vest pocket so you can walk out of a place without saying, who's that guy with the gun?
No question about it. You know, there are weapons that you can disassemble within seconds. And certainly, again, someone would have the proficiency to be able to do that. Keep in mindset to then disassemble that weapon in a very short time span, put it in a bag, and extricate them off that rooftop. That is why, quite frankly, that weapon may have been left behind. We just don't know that. The FBI may be sitting on that information. They just don't want to publicly make that available to us. But again, it's more consistent with the proficiency and the expertise of this shooter.
Stuart, excellent job. Thank you for your service over the years, and thanks for coming on and waking up this early.
Yeah. So there's this show on Peacock. It's a sniper show. Let me find the name. Sniper show on Peacock. It's called The Day of the Jackal. That guy, man, I don't care who you are, he would definitely get you if he wants to, end you. He will get you regardless of where you are, how protected you are, whatever security you have, he will get you. He's a trained assassin. And people saying it was too young. This person here in this case was too young to be a trained assassin. What do you mean by too young? What do you mean by too young? What is too young to be a trained assassin? I don't think anybody can be too young to be a trained assassin. Really, in my opinion. I may be wrong. I mean, who knows? But when it comes to being trained to be, an assassin, I don't think you can be too young to be a trained assassin. So, the TV show is called The Day of the Jackal, and he usually sometimes leaves the rifle. He's going to do what he wants to do, keeps it on the scene, and then it comes back to that scene the day he wants to do it. Or he stays there overnight, stays there until his target is on sight, and he takes his shot. So, I mean, it's wild, man.
You say he's college age. Do you believe he was from this university? And how far do you think he may have gone in this time frame?
So I can't comment specifically on his face or any details such as that, as it's continuing to be a part of the investigation. And again, we'll release that shortly. However, we're doing everything we can to find him, and we're not sure how far he has gone yet. But we will do our best.
But you have a clear image of his face?
We have images of the suspect.
So, did you trace the gun's owner?
The gun that you've been able to recover, do you believe you know this person is the person that you're looking for at this point?
Again, as part of the investigation, we're not releasing any details such as that right now.
Fingerprints or DNA?
We are exhausting all of our resources to be able to collect those, but that's, again, part of the investigation.
Have you been able to trace back the owner of the gun?
Excuse me?
You said you found the weapon. Have you been able to trace back the owner of that weapon or who purchased it?
We are working on that, but again, part of the investigation that I can't release.
Agent Bowles, there's been a lot of turnover in the FBI. Do you think that's impacting the investigation?
Not at all. We've got complete and total support from everyone, from the director on down, and it's been an incredible supportive environment so far.
Aren't we like the one yesterday useful though, where we announced the suspect was
all I can say is that we're working the investigation the best we have with the environment we're given. So,
Those
thank
are all
you.
the questions for right now. Thank you, everybody.
So the headline came at the end there, Dana. We have images of the suspect. That after they gave us a number of details that we were not privy to prior. So they say a number of individuals questioned, they've been released, they asked for privacy for them. At 11:52 a.m. Utah time, they tracked the suspect to that building. They later, after the shooting, tracked him jumping off the building, fleeing into a neighborhood. And they're asking neighbors in that area if they have doorbell cameras to turn over anything that may produce an image. What they didn't say is whether or not he ran there on foot or drove a car. But later they said, we do have good video of this individual. We are confident in our abilities. And with regard to that, they say they have footwear prints. So perhaps he was on foot, and also palm prints. And they asked for any video and images tipped to the website there. This is a bolt-action rifle. It is manually operated. It is extremely accurate. And according to a lot of gun experts, it has fewer moving parts, which would give the killer an opportunity to take a more accurate shot. And based on the graphic images that the world saw yesterday afternoon, that shot was a kill shot. It took one, and Charlie Kirk barely had a chance of survival.
I think it was a good idea for them to give this update this morning at the time that they did. Remember, so it's 9:27 a.m. Eastern time. It's 2 hours behind in Utah, and that's Mountain Time, 7:27 a.m. And I think if you see what they were able to do, they provided us the information that they could. And I think the reporters were asking very good questions, and the investigators are saying, we cannot answer those right now because we're in the middle of the investigation. And one of those questions was, since you recovered the weapon, have you been able to trace back the owner of that weapon? And the investigator very clearly said, not able to talk about that right now. So that's obviously either in question or they know it.
And they will need the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk for more evidence too. Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent, Trey Gowdy, host of Sunday Night in America, and Trey is a prosecutor and Robin is an investigator with the FBI. Tell us what you think about what we just heard there in Orem, Utah.
Yeah, what we're hearing is a lot of good data.
To make an arrest.
I'm sorry, Robin, go ahead. You were saying?
Yeah, it's a lot of good data that we're getting out of this. And at the early onset, people were thinking this was a professional hit, and professional had a different connotation to me. I thought it was a skilled shot, but professionals don't do this. And so luckily, he's made a lot of missteps. And as indicated in his press conference, he left a data trail of evidence that they're able to zero in on him pretty quickly, I think.
What do you say? Professionals don't do this. Take that further. What do you mean?
Yeah, so professionals, if this individual was actually truly trying to just kill Charlie Kirk, this is not the way to do it, because this is in a public venue, leaving a lot of footprints on the ground, leaving a weapon in the woods, not having a clear escape plan, which people thought he did. And so that's not a professional level like at the higher levels that you're kind of thinking like in the movies. This is a skilled shot, but an unskilled individual at being an assassin.
Trey Gowdy, you listened to that press conference as well, and you've heard Robin's thoughts. As somebody who used to prosecute crimes after the investigation, what other questions would you have right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the police did the right thing. They give no information to jeopardize the ultimate goal, which is a conviction. I mean, you have to make the arrest, but the ultimate goal is for this person to be convicted. So you got to be careful what you release. What the police essentially want is give us all the video you may have, give us any tip that you may have. I think images of the suspect are not the same as images of the face of the suspect. And prints are only good if you have someone to compare them or match them with. I think they are going to apprehend the killer, but the goal again, Dana, is to get a conviction. It is not simply to generate a headline or have a good press conference. This ends in front of a jury or with a guilty plea. The only other thing I would add, Dana, is as painful as it is, people have to watch the video from yesterday. And while they're watching it, and they're going to want to turn their heads away, but you need to imagine this as a husband and a father and a friend, not someone politically that you may happen to disagree with. This video is so jarring to watch. The problem is it really happened. And it happened in the greatest country in the world. And so we got to have a conversation about how much of this we're willing to put up with. So watch what happened to him. He is killed in an instant from 200 yards. For what reason? Because you happen to disagree with his political beliefs?
Exactly. This is what I said. I said he was taken in America, the greatest country on the face of the earth. This happened in America. This didn't happen in China or Russia. This happened in America, televised for everybody to see. Instantly, it was on X, Instagram, Facebook. It's still on X right now. It's still on Facebook right now. It's still on Instagram right now. Right now. Everybody saw this video when it happened in the great old USA.
With this video is so jarring to watch. The problem is it really happened. And it happened in the greatest country in the world. And so we got to have a conversation about how much of this we're willing to put up with. So watch what happened to him. He is killed in an instant. In an instant, from 200 yards. For what reason? Because you happen to disagree with his political beliefs? Make yourself watch it. And realize this is a husband and a father, not just some political person with whom you may happen to disagree.
Trey, stand by one moment. Robin, I'm going to get your reaction on two things that we just heard here. Let's play the soundbite of the suspect's movements first. Let's listen here.
We were able to track the movements of the shooter. Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood.
Okay, Robin, go ahead. Take us through this now. You would assume that if you had a phone, which I'm not quite sure they did, that you would be able to do that quite easily. But it sounds to me like there were cameras that were able to track him. What do you take from it, Robin?
Yeah, I think what they did was they were able to kind of zero in right away on where the shooter came from, where the bullet came from, because they released that right away. So they're able to get cameras on him in that location because campuses have a lot of cameras. Plus, you had 3,000 people with cell phones. And so from that, they're able to backtrack the timeline to actually follow, because once they have an image of an individual, you now have a body language demeanor that he's giving off of a baseline of what you're looking for in that crowd, especially since he stood out with what he was wearing, all black. And so they're just backing up that timeline, and then they're advancing that timeline so they can track those movements. And so when they say they don't have an image of the face, they don't really need that image of the face yet because they have the body language of the individual. It's going to be very telling over time.
Okay, now you said the video. Okay, that's the next soundbite. We'll let you analyze this too. Watch here from the FBI.
Sure. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time. We are working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we are confident in our abilities right now, and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe and moves this process appropriately.
Hey, Rob, I'm reading between the lines here. I don't believe they've got a name. Is that accurate, do you believe?
I believe that's probably accurate right now, but I think they're going to get that pretty rapidly. There's two things here. One, you have the videos of the individual that they can backtrack and do a match on and see those egress and ingress points. That's why they're seeking more people with videos of him to see if you can track him to a car, license plate, and also start doing triangulation, which is going to take a little time of cell phone data. The other thing with the weapon that they have, the likelihood of them having DNA is very, very high. Let's just look at the Kohberger case. They are able to use trace DNA to actually do a genealogy search. It takes a little bit of time, but this is with family members that didn't even put themselves into the genealogy system. So I think they're coming at it from two angles. You're going to be coming at it from the technology of looking cell phone tracking data for this area. That's something that's going to stand out so they can rule out people that actually live in that area since you flew into the woods, possibly vehicle traffic as well as DNA traffic. And so what they're looking for is they're going to have it. They just don't have it quite yet.
Trey, we're coming up on another moment of silence at 9:37, and I wonder if you could take a moment to just talk about this moment that we are in nationally from a perspective that you always so wisely provide.
Orthodoxy And as we've had events since then, whether it's the shooting of Gabby Giffords, whether it's the shooting of Stevie Scalise, the shooting of President Trump, those periods of unity have begun to shrink. And no, I mean, it hadn't been a couple of hours since Charlie Kirk was killed before we had like a zoo-like atmosphere on the floor of the House of Representatives, which is supposed to be the people's house. So I actually think the American people are more unified than those that we send to represent us. So the representatives need to really reflect the American people. 90% of the American people would never do what happened to Charlie Kirk, would never shoot Gabby Giffords. And by the way, a child was also killed when she was shot, would never shoot at Stevie Scalise. We got to do a better job of identifying and silencing and separating that 10% from the rest of us. But look, our memories are so short, Dana. I mean, they were long after 9/11. It was weeks and months of unity. And it hadn't been 24 hours before we had begun to politicize the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Forget about the politics. That's why I want you to look at the video. This was a husband and a father and a friend that was shot through the throat because of political beliefs. I mean, surely to God, this country can do better than that.
No doubt.
Trey, thank you.
Same thing I said. America can do better than that. This happened in broad daylight in America, the country that everybody says we have free speech. All right, here we go. Tulsi Gabbard.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is here. Tulsi, we haven't heard from many administration officials on camera other than the President of the United States, and I'm hoping you can characterize for us how you're feeling at this moment, the mood in the administration. We just saw the Vice President of the United States carrying the coffin of a hero.
Yeah, Kayleigh, I, like other members of the president's team and cabinet, was in the White House when Charlie was shot. And when I got the news, we weren't certain about what his condition was at that time, but obviously very, very concerned and shocked. Shocked is the feeling that I think was there. And then as things developed, unfortunately, very quickly, you know, Charlie was a friend to so many of us, a dear friend, someone who inspired countless numbers of people because he truly lived what he preached. I had the privilege of being able to go with him to some of these college campus visits. And it was just amazing to see how he really encouraged people who disagreed with him to come forward. When he'd have people who stood in line and they would come and say, "Hey, Charlie, thank you for you know, the great work that you're doing." He would thank them for the kind words and then ask, "Is there anyone in the crowd who disagrees with me? Please come forward and ask your question." Cut to the front of the line. His expression of kindness and respect to those that he was engaging with, even those who walked away still disagreeing with him, really is the inspiration that I hope we can all find in our grief at the loss of one of our country's most brave and courageous champions of freedom, champions for our Constitution, our God-given rights.
Tulsi, I know every agency is using everything in their power, the FBI, the DOJ, everyone is trying to find this killer at this moment. We have heard about the messages on the bullets. Are you able to share with us any information about what those messages contained?
Not at this time, Kayleigh. The FBI is working on this. As you said, they're conducting their forensics. I would like just to say on this point, though, about the shooter, and especially given today is the anniversary of the Islamist terrorist attack on 9/11, there's a common characteristic between Charlie Kirk's assassin and the Islamist terrorists, Al-Qaeda, who attacked us on 9/11, in that they both sought to silence those who they did not agree with. They both recognized that their ideologies, their views would not stand up to being challenged. And yesterday, sadly, what we saw in this shooter was using violence in order to take away Charlie Kirk's voice and take away his ability to continue to inspire in such an incredibly positive way others to exercise our God-given rights to free speech. These people are fanatics. In Al-Qaeda, these Islamist terrorists, they are so-called religious fanatics. Yesterday, Charlie's assassin is a political fanatics, but these fanatics have to be stood up to. We cannot allow them to intimidate people into being fearful and therefore silent.
Without a doubt. And I'm sorry to cut in on you, but I do want our viewers to see right there, that is a live image that you are looking at as Charlie Kirk's casket is being unloaded from Air Force Two. There appears to be a motorcade, and we will watch this live. The crowd is gathering. These are his supporters. And Tulsi, this is something we've seen across the nation on college campuses. The people who have shown up, the text messages that I have gotten from people who are not conservative, who said, I discovered that my kids love Charlie Kirk. People who have turned out nationwide, and hear this crowd gathering to honor a man who changed the course of history, arguably. Tulsi, I think you would agree. He's responsible, very likely, for why you're sitting in this job, for President Trump being elected. He was a key player as we honor him tonight and look at these pictures.
There's no doubt about it. He was always there for me when I picked up the phone and said, Charlie, I could use your help. He helped me and so many others in times where I wasn't even aware of it, and I would hear of it third hand. But really, it was his motivation. Charlie so deeply loved this country and sincerely valued the principles and values that are enshrined in our Constitution. He lived this appreciation for freedom and used his life to inspire others to stand up for those principles, was unabashed about his love for God, his faith in God, and treated everyone, no matter who they were, no matter what their background, no matter their views, with respect that is inspired by God's love for all of us.
Tulsi, and as we look at this, that door opened on Air Force Two. I know you've been on Air Force Two and Air Force One, as have I, and we can expect at any moment to see Vice President J.D. Vance come down. We know when they loaded onto Air Force Two, you saw Erica Kirk there, beautiful wife of Charlie Kirk, their two children. They're bringing Charlie home. And, you know, you spoke, Tulsi, to the faith of Charlie Kirk. And I also want to speak to his love for family. That man loved Erica Kirk, loved his wife. Erica said it was her dream come true, marrying Charlie Kirk. He was the one. I had the pleasure of being around them. I'm sure you did too. It was a love story.
It was such a beautiful, beautiful love story. I remember having dinner with them shortly after President Trump won the election at Mar-a-Lago, and just telling them how, you know, the night that the president won the election, they shared this video. Charlie was live streaming the whole night. And when they announced that President Trump had won the election, Charlie had tears running down his eyes. Erica was hugging him and holding him in her arms. And she said, Charlie, you did it. And Charlie shook his head and he said, no, God did this. This is all praise goes to God. I did nothing. This speaks to the center of their marriage being God, the strength of their love, their courage and their commitment to put service above self, to put the well-being of others above their own. My heart is devastated for Erica and those children, and the vice president being there and just wrapping them up in the love that so many of us have for them, and the knowledge that, you know, Charlie can now rest in the warm embrace of God's love.
Yeah, Charlie is with his Savior tonight. We know that. Tulsi Gabbard, thank you for that beautiful tribute.
Oh my God, man. God is going to be with his wife and his kids, because these are the main people that actually lost. We can all have beautiful words to say about Charlie, but his wife and kids are the main people that this affects directly. So his wife and his kids, hopefully they're going to be able to, with the love that they're getting and that they will continue to get, will just help them go through these times, because this is unlike what anybody else has faced. Maybe RFK Jr. is the only one who can say he's experienced something like this, but nobody in the United States mostly faces stuff like this, like publicly. Nah, that's like crazy stuff. All right, here we go. President Trump here. Yankees playing.
Players in the locker room. Let's listen in.
Well, you're going to win. I'll tell you what, George Steinbrenner was a great friend of mine. The whole family. It's a great family, and Randy is wonderful, and I will say you're going to win. George used to coach for some reason. I don't know what it was. We won every time I came. Randy, is that right? Every time we came, we'd win a game, and he'd call me. He was, you think that was easy sitting with him for a game? It wasn't. It was brutal. You were exhausted at the end, but he won, and you're going to win. You're going to go all the way, and you'll get in the playoff, and I think you're going to do, I think we'll start off, how about tonight? We'll start from tonight on, and you're going to do well. Randy was telling me, the Boston Red Sox came to the Oval Office. They wanted to come, so I said, what am I going to do, say no? So, and they won 15 games in a row.
That was bad news. Bad news. We're changing the luck here right now, Mr.
We're going to change it right now. So I just want to wish you guys a lot of luck. You're great players. I know every one of you. Let me shake hands around here. Come on. Shake their hands.
President Trump meeting the Yankees on this, the 9/11 anniversary, giving them good luck.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
All right, so I just seen in the chat that Good Genes C. Shelley says, Genesis Madhouse, could we have a moment of silence for prayers for Charlie Kirk's family? Absolutely. See, we can do that. All right, I have his picture here with the President of the United States, so we're going to take a moment of silence of prayer for his family, just like C. Shelley advised. So everybody in your home, at work, if you're driving, don't worry, just, say your prayers in your heart, just like we're going to say in our heart right now. So ladies and gentlemen, here we go. A moment of silence for Charlie Kirk and his family in love and in prayers. Here we go. Oh, all right. May God answer our prayers and strengthen the Kirks and preserve his kids and his wife and his entire family, and to give them hope, the hope to believe in the goodness of the heart of man, because this can really shatter people's heart. So may God give them the strength to keep on believing in the goodness of man and his goodness. All right. Thank you guys so much for praying for the Kirk's family. All right, here we go.
Now is independent journalist Evita Duffy Alfonso. Evita, it is just hard to believe the words that we're saying and seeing on our screen, remembering the legacy of Charlie Kirk, a search for his shooter, ongoing assassination, our coverage of this. As a young person, how are you remembering him this morning?
Listen, it's been horrific. I was sobbing yesterday. I was sobbing this morning as I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. Charlie Kirk was a martyr for his faith, for Christ, for the soul of our country. As a young conservative on a college campus not too long ago, he gave us courage. Our ideas are not platformed in the classroom. We're bullied by other students. I had received threats on my own life as a student for being a conservative and opposing socialism. Charlie Kirk platformed our ideas. He modeled civil discourse. The other thing that he did is he connected with Gen Z on such a deep level, deeper than any conservative thought leader or politician ever has, because he recognized that we aren't just a lost cause. We're not a generation that has been brainwashed and we're not worth looking at. He talked to us about debt. He talked to us about our ability to own a home in the future, to pay for rent, to pay for our groceries, the loneliness epidemic, our ability to start families, to get married and have children. He cared about us, he listened, and he gave us a different path. So many of us are falling into the clutches of Marxism, the Zoran Mamdani, the AOC, Bernie Sanders, the Marxist future that the university system itself is purporting for young people. He went into the belly of the beast. He went on these college campuses and he evangelized, quite literally, to save the soul of our country. And for that, I couldn't be more grateful to Charlie and everything that he's done for our generation.
Yeah, and Evita, you tried to start a Turning Point chapter on your college campus. What were you told at the time?
Yeah, I mean, this was incredible. So I tried to start a Turning Point USA chapter because I was noticing the hostility on my campus from my left-wing peers. I said, we need to have a place where we can platform different perspectives. And the student body government shot down my proposition for a Turning Point chapter because they said it would incite violence. That violence, of course, is violence from left-wing students who would be opposed to a Turning Point USA chapter. So I think it's really interesting as you see what Charlie was warning about before he died. He talked about assassination culture, the way that young people cheered on CEO killer Luigi Mangione, the way that people were celebrating the assassination attempts on Trump's life, the 2020 Summer of Love, which was encouraged by Democrat politicians at the very highest levels of government. Even some Republicans, I might add. He noticed that the left has a propensity for violence, that there's a history here. If you look at what Mao did, what Stalin did, Lenin, throughout human history, leftists have had a propensity for violence because of the world that you're living in is chaotic and scary. Then they can seize control and maintain power. Charlie understood that. He talked about it incessantly. And I think that his death is the greatest warning of what we're on the precipice of if we don't turn into a different direction and start to actually embrace the values that America was really founded on. I mean, it's a call for courage.
I mean, just what an absolute loss for his wife, for his children. There's a video that we've been showing where his little daughter runs towards him after hosting Fox and Friends weekend with your mom. And you see just jumping into her hero father's arms and a big smile on Charlie's face. That was just a few weeks ago. It's also just a remarkable loss, Evita, for the future of our country. I mean, where does the young conservative movement go from here without him?
We can't be intimidated out of the public square. I think there's going to be, and I felt it myself, right? Fear when I saw the news. You don't want to go out in public anymore. You don't want to keep talking. You don't want to keep speaking out, but we have to. What happened to Charlie is the greatest sign that we have to keep talking. We have to keep the debate going, because if we don't, you're going to continue to see the polarization and the violence against neighbors and friends that cannot be sustained. We won't have a country if this doesn't end. And so I think it's a call for courage, and it's a call to stay in the public square.
That's right. A call for courage, a call for action, and a call to continue. I mean, Charlie always said that Jesus was the most important thing. He loved that there was a Christian revival in this country as well. He encouraged young people to live a God-fearing life, and they did. And it just didn't feel like his work was done yet. And God has a plan for all of us, and we will never understand why things happen when they do or what that plan really is. But we do know that he made a remarkable mark on our country politically and the future of it in the 31 years that he was here on this earth. Independent journalist.
And why is it that great men, people who have actually impacted this world at large, are usually not living long? They never live long lives. I mean, some do. I'm not saying everybody, but, you know, most of them do not live extensively long. Okay, so this is sad, man. I wish there was something else we could talk about, but there's virtually nothing else to talk about. Everything out here is Charlie. What a great man he was. And also I've heard there were shootings in some schools. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. So may those souls rest in peace as well. And this gun violence situation has to be figured out. Has to be absolutely figured out. Maybe more background check or something. I don't know. Something has to be figured out with this whole gun violence going on right here. It is crazy. All right.
We begin this morning with a Fox News alert. Right now, a manhunt underway for the assassin who shot and killed conservative political icon Charlie Kirk during a campus event in Utah.
The 31-year-old co-founder of Turning Point USA was struck by a single bullet roughly 20 minutes after taking the stage for his American Comeback Tour.
People around the world are mourning the loss of one of the driving forces behind the modern conservative movement, many praising him for creating Turning Point and the impact it has had on the American political landscape.
When did you form Turning Point?
In June of 2012.
And why did you call it Turning Point?
You know, at the time, I felt as if we were kind of in a generational turning point. I said, hey, I think we could do a better job of reaching young people.
Yeah.
And now we contrast what we've been able to do, largely thanks to the movement that President Donald Trump has built. We've kind of been riding that energy and that momentum with where the Democrats are now currently. I mean, the tables have completely flipped over the last decade. And it goes to show that this patriotic revival is being led by the youngest Americans. That should give everyone a lot of hope.
We are going to be talking to young conservatives across the country this morning who are reflecting on Kirk's legacy. To countless young people, he was the voice of their generation, pointing to his iconic campus visits where he would open the floor to debate on top political issues. You are watching Fox and Friends First. On this Thursday morning, I'm Carly Shimkus.
And I am Todd Pyro. Let's get straight to Matt Finn, live from Orne, Utah, with the latest on the man. Matt.
Todd, it is calm and quiet here on campus of the Utah Valley University right now. Just a stark contrast to the horror that ripped across this campus not long ago. And if I step off camera right now and we push in, you could see a terribly grim scene. You might be able to make out the outline of that white tent that Charlie Kirk was inside of when he was fatally shot on this campus. I believe it might have been a part of his Prove Me Wrong table. This was all a part of Kirk's American Comeback Tour. He had planned to attend several other universities and college campuses around the country in the coming weeks and months. Right now, the shooter still at large. 2 suspects were taken into custody, but both were released. The FBI set up a tip line. Authorities say the shooter appeared to be in all black and on a roof. Here is dispatch audio describing the suspect.
Going to be wearing all black, black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
The Utah Valley University Chief of Police says 6 police officers were working this event in addition to Charlie's personal security team. 3,000 people packed onto this campus to listen to and engage with Charlie Kirk. Utah Governor Spencer Cox calls the shooting a political assassination.
But I want to make it crystal clear right now to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah. So the governor reminding people about capital punishment here in Utah. A manhunt is presumably underway right now, but here on campus it is very calm. Not even a large police presence here right now, and pretty much anybody on the public could walk onto this property if they wanted to. We've been talking to sources, getting updates from law enforcement, and we will keep you updated hour by hour. Carly, Todd.
And Matt, you just mentioned what you're seeing right now in terms of a police presence, but as you were driving into town earlier this morning, late evening, did you notice police en masse in the area? In other words, were they going door to door on campus, potentially looking for this individual, or was it as quiet as it is right now?
You know, I did not see a huge police presence driving into the campus or even on the campus. They were really just kind of blocking some traffic earlier, but now it's remarkably calm. I mean, if you were to walk here right now, you may not even realize what happened here yesterday. But Fox did learn that police were going door to door in nearby neighborhoods, asking people if they saw anyone that they did not recognize, but no major update there. A source that I talked to, a federal source, said that, of course, there are things happening behind the scenes right now, but we just don't have any major updates, and we have to wait and see what law enforcement brings us.
Well, we
Todd?
lost a generational talent yesterday, and you were standing on a campus in mourning. Matt Finn, live for us. Matt, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's bring in former homicide detective Brian Foley. Brian, thank you for joining us this morning. There is nobody in custody right now. You heard the description of the assassin wearing dark clothing fired from a campus, a roof on campus. Who could have done something like this, given the nature of this assassination?
Well, as a homicide detective, let me speak as a homicide detective, I don't like it. You look at that description, black mask, black helmet, all blacked out, possibly a tack vest. You have a long gun getting into campus, a long gun getting out of campus. No gun recovered at this point. What that tells me is this was well planned, well executed, and my answer to you is I don't know, and what they're dealing with right now is a whodunit. But because you don't see all those law enforcement resources, as the reporter just said, that doesn't mean everything is going on. This is all hands on deck. It reminds me of the Boston Marathon bombing and all the resources that are going to be coming in. State, local, federal. Look at the university. The university is going to be able to help the law enforcement only in regards to recovering a video, opening doors, and getting into places to look to recover the gun. You don't have a shell casing. You don't have anything. This was well planned. That single shot, one gunshot, you look at what happened to President Trump with multiple shots and such, that single shot here is alarming, that it was well planned at range, 200 yards. I'm sure with a high-powered rifle, clearly a high-powered rifle to a trained eye with unfortunately what we saw. For someone to get something like that in and out of a university campus where guns aren't forbidden. So this is a real whodunit for the detectives.
Walk us through exactly what the FBI is doing right now. 4:06 a.m. East Coast time, the day after the shooting.
Perfect. This is a perfect scenario for the FBI to handle because this will likely span a large area. This is 40 miles south of Salt Lake. What they're doing, the main thing I would say is culling resources, putting together teams to go over those resources, going over video evidence. Think about now in the aftermath of the Boston bombing, again, that's why it sounds so familiar. They're going over so much video evidence, and that was a decade or more ago that happened. So there's so much more video evidence today. They're going around door to door. You heard them say in the neighborhoods, they're looking for Ring cameras. They're looking for security cameras. But also, universities have license plate readers. There's traffic cameras in the area. The highways have traffic cameras. If you think of remember the Idaho murder where he moves across country, they're tracking those movements. What they're really doing now, though, Todd, is not looking what happened after the shooting and the getaway. They're looking prior to getting up to that building where the shots were coming from. I'm sure they've identified from trajectory, it's not going to be too difficult, the general area from where that came from. They're going to be able to look. Everyone always thinks what happened after the crime. They're looking what happened at the footprints prior to getting up there. But again, it makes me nervous that this is going to be a well-planned and well-executed, unfortunately, homicide.
Reading through some of the eyewitness accounts, Brian, from people who were there, one attendee said that he had a gun, he left it in his car because he assumed that there would be metal detectors there. And then when he got to the event, he was surprised by the lack of security. And then we have law enforcement yesterday at the press conferences saying that there were 6 officers assigned to this event along with Charlie Kirk's personal security. What do you make of that? It was an event of 3,000 people.
Here we go. Now we're going to look at what the university had for a budget to plan for safety. How much were they going to spend on officers at this type of event? How much did they put into security? I can tell you this, it's going to change. It always happens after these events is everyone's going to start now really over planning. It's confounding to me. You know, we planned for a Trump visit in Hartford years and years ago. We covered everything. I mean, every window, everything. The complacency that goes into event planning, into looking into these things is astounding and incredibly unfortunate here this morning that we have to deal with it. But I like that the chief was forthcoming and that they only had 6 officers and that they could have had more. This is a learning lesson for all those campuses across the United States. Now, when they have these types of events, maybe you move them indoors. It's much easier to control in an indoor event, but I'm sure that Charlie probably wanted it outdoors. He liked that type of scenario and that type of feel. It creates more security challenges, but you can certainly plan an event where you pivot or turn things so you can cover everything.
Do you think the FBI knows who the shooter is at this point?
Good question. I think they have some leads. They're not going to say anything. They're not going to tell us, you know, and you saw some communication where they had a suspect, they didn't have a suspect. It gets confusing. I can tell you this, the homicide detectives, the FBI agents, the state homicide detectives, they don't want to tell anyone anything. Other than public, please help us. You don't want anyone knowing anything because that secrecy is only to your benefit in chasing down a killer. So there is that conflict between command staff or directors and the field investigators of sharing information. But you want to be very controlling of what you put out to the public.
Yeah, we do know that 2 people were taken into custody and then released. But law enforcement on every single level is going to be working tirelessly to find this shooter. Former homicide detective Brian Foley, thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you for the prayers for Turks. Thank you so much for the chat and just, having a civil dialogue. Like I always say, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. What matters is you are American. It is country before parties. All right. It is country before party. And if anything, they should ring more in your ears and your heart that it is not about being a Republican or being a Democrat. It is more about being an American. It is country before your parties. All right. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in Almighty God. God is the greatest. Thank you for being here. I got to say a big shout out to law enforcement officers, the policemen and women. Ice, baby. First responders, firefighters, and everybody else, essential workers, nurses, doctors. God bless you guys. I got to say a big shout out to the veterans and to the military personnel. Thank you guys. Without you guys, there would be no homeland. I got to say a big shout out to the fathers for doing a great job, going out there every day, working extra hours to protect and provide for their family. God bless you, being a responsible human being in a society. Shout out to the moms as well. They've been doing a great job for centuries. The grandfathers and grandmothers as well. And everybody, man, everybody just doing what they're supposed to do, promoting love. This is the time for us to come together and promote love, all right? I got to say a big shout out to our esteemed members, Dr. Luke the Goat. God bless you for being here. Shout out to Flora Love, Mrs. Goat. God bless you. CRXR. God bless you. Sandra. Shout out to you. God bless you. She's a veteran. Thank you for your service. Ellie. God bless you. Ingram. God bless you. Ringmaster. God bless you. And of course, our moderators, Good Jeans, C. Shelley. God bless you, C. Shelley. Terry Vinings, the Bama girl. Roll Tide. I don't think she's here, but shout out to Terry Vinings. God bless you. Of course, MVP Jet. MVP Jet. God bless you. Bucket Master Dabuski was good. I don't think he's here. He was here earlier on, but shout out to Busky though. Who else, man? Everybody, Zyros Garden, God bless you. Thank you for being here. Shout out to Zyros, man. Anders. Anders is the artist, is a guitarist as well. And Anders, I don't know if you know, but Dr. Luke, the GOAT, also plays guitar. So you guys need to like do a collaboration, okay? Don't worry. I'm gonna be the artist behind. Anders and Dr. Luke, the GOAT. Y'all need to, I don't know, do a little solo session. A little solo session, man. Come on. We need to lighten up a little bit because the tension is just too much. Okay? We need to lighten up a little bit. So yeah, y'all need to figure that out. I don't know, follow each other. I don't know how you guys want to do it. And like I always say, I'm probably gonna sample one of Dr. Luke's. I'm probably going to sample one of Dr. Luke's sound on this channel. I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna make a song to it, and I'm gonna send it to him. Say, I told you so. I told you I was gonna do this, man. I told you, man. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for being here. This is what we promote, love. Okay, this is what we do on this channel. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, we do not care. And if you used to care, please don't care anymore, okay? Because it doesn't really matter, okay? This is just a ploy, a way to divide us. We don't want to be divided. It is America first. It is country before party. Once you understand that, you are like, you've won. You have won once you understand that it's not about being a Democrat or a Republican. It's about being an American. You already won. So, thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. So, with that being said, God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for turning on your notification bell. Thank you for liking and sharing. Thank you for promoting the love. We do this because we love America. We believe in America. This is why we do this. So, ladies and gentlemen, promote love. No matter what you're going through, stay strong. God is your strength. Be kind to people. You just don't know what people are going through. Some people are going through mental issues, loneliness, grief, anxiety. A lot of people are going through so much, okay, in America. So be nice, be kind, all right? Stay optimistic, okay? Stay positive. God is your strength. And if you're going through financial hardship, just believe that God is going to come through for you, okay? Because I know some people are one paycheck away from, not having enough money to pay rent for next month or pay their next mortgage. So stay strong, keep your belief, and just keep on moving forward, okay? God is going to come through for you. God is the greatest. God bless you. God bless America. And God rest Charlie Kirk's soul in his loving arms forevermore. Amen. God bless you guys. It's your boy Genesis, and I am signing out. Love you guys, man.